You were supposed to be live minutes ago, but you didn't even send me the link until a minute after you were supposed to. Oh, you hit the button already.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Phantom Zone. And General Zod took a Kryptonian nap and overshot the start. So, yeah, I actually went to see a movie with the girl today. And
What movie?
I saw that new Vince Vaughn movie, Freaky. Fucking hilarious. Nothing different you've seen from a horror movie, but Vince Vaughn goes from playing a serial killer to playing a teenage girl. Fucking funniest shit I've ever seen. It's like Freaky Friday.
Interesting.
Yeah, but with a serial killer. Like, and just the fucking shit that goes down. I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone, but there is a scene, and I turn and I look at my girlfriend. I'm like, do women actually think that? And she's just like, yeah, I say that all the time. But it's in particular to him when he first becomes a teenage female and like he's pissing in the bathroom and he looks down and starts having some extracurricular active fun with like swinging his stuff around, and she goes, "Oh boy, this is fun." He's like, "How do guys get anything done?" I'm fucking sitting there cracking up, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so weird." So I look at my girlfriend. I'm like, she goes, "Oh yeah, girl, women think about that. If they had one, what they do." I was like, "Okay, I guess this is a fucking thing." So yeah, if you guys get a chance, go and see that movie. It's the funniest I've seen Vince Vaughn in like years, and the fucking kills were brutal. Oh my god. It's like a comedy, but kind of like a cabin in the woods kind of a thing where it's like brutally violent. And they make fun of like the culture. Like she's got like a black friend and a gay friend, and they're talking about woke and shit. But they're using it in the context of teenagers being like fucking stupid this day and age. So it's hilarious. And like every time they say something, there's like, stop genderizing some. So I was like sitting there fucking cracking up because I'm sorry I didn't use gender norms and stuff like that. I was like fucking dying because the way the director uses it, it's more sarcastic than actually being serious.
Aha.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not ruining anything, but there is one more funny part. Like, and this is in the preview, so I'm not giving anything away. But the gay guy and the black chick start running in this scene, and he looks at her and he's like, we're fucked, right? Because I'm gay and you're black, and they always fucking die in these horror movies. like, like the gay friend was fucking hilarious. It was one of the most clever movies. So I came home and I looked it up because I wanted to do a video, and the director of Happy Death Day did this movie. And I was like, this explains why this is so good. Because I thought Happy Death Day was a good movie. So he just took the concept of Freaky Friday and made it a horror movie. It was pretty good. Anyways, that's my endorsement. Go and see the movie. It was a rather long tangent of why I'm tired, though, because I was putting my fucking script together and talking with the missus and seeing what she like.
Script?
Yeah, I work on that stuff every once in a while.
Script for what?
You like things about the movie, like, you know, who made it, the actors and actresses and shit. I actually wanted to give credit to the people acting because they did a good job. Like I knew Vince Vaughn, but I didn't know the chick
Whoa, whoa,
in there.
whoa. So you mean putting notes together, not a script?
Well, that's a script for me when I gotta read shit while I'm doing it. Because if you guys had noticed, 90% of my channel is unscripted. I don't read from shit, but every once in a
You can
while,
read?
yeah, every once in a while I can read. Yeah, yeah. Lemon pie. Uh, it looked like it wasn't good from the trailer, but yeah, you can't get. It was one of the few movies I saw where the trailer made me happy because they didn't give too much away. Like they gave a few scenes away, but they didn't give the whole uh thing away. I hate when you watch a trailer because the movie's only an hour and 34 minutes. And I hate when they make a trailer and you see it and you go, "Oh, I saw the best fucking scenes," or they show you the whole fucking movie. So, 90% of the scenes they did show a little portion in the middle and they showed a bit of the ending, but holy fuck, like that ending was fucking brutal. Like what threw me off was too is that it's an R-rated movie and there's a lot of kills, especially the fucking beginning is horrendous. And then it gets comical and then it's kind of like a dark comedy.
I
So,
like me some dark comedy.
oh yeah, it's like it goes from being like terrifying to like being comedic and slowing down a bit, and then the fucking ending is nuts and goes off the rails. I loved it. It
Like,
was
does it
like,
count as being dark comedy if they accuse some cute baby of committing genocide? Fucking Vanity Fair.
oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely
Did you see their headline about Baby Yoda? Hilarious.
I read that shit and I was like, uh, Vanity Fair is such a rag now. It's just ridiculous. Like they haven't made actual good pieces for Hollywood. Like they used to be the go-to to talk about like different things. They broke different stories, especially like in the 90s and shit. And they become such a rag that now they've got to attack a fictional character. It amazes me, folks. It amazes me that um every single episode of The Mandalorian that's premiered has had some kind of bullshit article attacking it. And the irony is they can't attack it for the quality of the episodes. Because before we get into our reviews and break this down, the episodes this season are fucking phenomenal. Like, even people who are on the fence from season one, I don't think there's a reasonable argument out there that says that this season is suffering from some of the stuff we talked about last season. Remember,
Yeah, this
like it was
season
me.
is suffering from awesomeness.
I know this season has not
I mean,
been
I know Perp was
slow.
disappointed in episode one in the sense that it wasn't as explosive as he was expecting.
Yeah, but I think that it
And I
was a
was
good
like, that's
way to
what you
ease
get
us
for
in.
having 50 minutes, guy. You said you wanted longer episodes.
Yeah, I think that it was good though to ease us back in, and I would argue that it was slow because the fucking beginning of it, holy shit, that was like I loved the beginning. So while we're on episode one, let's talk about episode one because, guys, this is kind of an overview and we'll lead into three because I'm going to geek out about three. You probably will too, PB. We're both huge fans of Clone Wars. We did our thing with PB, or I mean LB, ha, and you. But we'll kind of segue into that, but let's talk about the first couple of episodes because we didn't give our reviews. So this will be a kind of catching up and we'll glaze over them because these are 20-minute episodes.
Mm,
It's hard to
I
do
do
a
love
whole,
Glaze.
yeah, it's hard to do a whole entire stream on just one 20-minute episode. So we're going to go one, two, and three, get some comments from you guys and then kind of go from there. So episode one, uh, was that it was kind of the beginning of them touching what they touched on at the end of The Mandalorian, which was he had gone on this quest, or he was going on this quest to find
He's
Baby
been
Yoda's teachers.
quested. That's what he keeps saying.
Yeah, quested, which I thought is kind of weird. Sounds like a fucking
It's a weird
RPG.
way
You
of
know how?
saying it, but okay, yeah, it's a real word.
Yeah, it feels like when you're playing Skyrim or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, you've been quested to go find the fucking light keep to go get, those knights to stop the end of the world." I don't know. I'm a sucker for Skyrim. Anyways, I loved the beginning opening scene And I love how he goes into that like seedy gambling thing. And I'm watching this going like Disney doesn't do the violence and stuff, and I'll get into my discrepancies in this episode with that, but they do have some pretty fucking dark shit in the show because that scene, like after he gets into a fight with whatever the fuck those creatures are, and they're doing like sports betting first off, which I was like, wow.
Well, yeah,
But
there's all kinds of sports in Star Wars. They got horse races, don't you know?
but uh but yeah, they're doing some sports betting or whatever. Um, and then they go into
Sorry, I
yeah.
didn't mean to bust out laughing like that. I wasn't expecting that name.
Now, everybody, when we're doing this, I want to kind of keep a professional tone here, Mr. Cyber. So,
No, this is how I've been feeling the past 3 episodes. So that's why I had the name.
yeah, but let's stay on topic because I've wanted to do uh this breakdown for a while. So we've got episode 1. I liked the beginning, the setup. With the sports bet thing, he kills everyone. We saw those awesome missiles again. I fucking love those missiles. They were called, I forgot what they were called. PB, they were like, didn't they call them like
Oh
screamers or
man,
something like that?
don't come to me. I don't remember the name of the missiles, man. I call them jetpack missiles. What do you want from me? They come from his jetpack.
No. In the beginning, when he used them before, they're like little like
The
mini
little
whistles.
wrist ones?
Yeah, that come out of the.
Oh, the little things. Okay, the ones that are like the Iron Man frickin' shoulder missiles.
Yeah, but they were made even smaller for his fucking like wrist gun
No,
thing.
right. They were smaller and they were like they could fly whichever direction. It's like a frickin' what? It's like a little tiny drone almost.
Yeah, just about cyber. What do you think of that beginning scene
That was
for the
that was
first
a
episode?
that was a good way to pull you in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
And I do agree with what PB was saying because I even thought that. I'm like, if anyone's bitching about, because I saw people before saw the episode, people bitching about it. I'm like, if anyone's bitching about it, you guys were bitching last year that the episodes were long enough.
yep.
Yep.
I 100% agree with you, cyber. And this is the thing that I do appreciate though, that this show, and especially us Star Wars fans, we're back to old complaints rather than the new ones. And I'll take that because now we can all argue about whether or not it was canon accurate as EU again. But I'd rather that argument than whether we're appropriating a race, which
Ah,
anybody anybody who's sitting here, none of us, and I'm talking about like Lethal Lightning or anyone who talks about this and hates the Mandalorian for different reasons, we can all agree that the critics are fucking idiots. Like,
Yeah.
and we'll get to the Tusken Raiders bit,
Did you when I know we're not the second one yet, but I got really excited when I saw a creature that was in a Star Wars encyclopedia before Disney acquired it. So I kept seeing it. That was in the second episode.
oh yeah, we're not on the second episode yet. We'll talk about that. I want to go one at a time, but I know what you're talking about, and I'm going to get to that too because I thought that was cool, and that's going to play into my next thing about how I feel like this show is being more accurate to the lore than even the fucking movies. Like, this show is probably being more accurate than even Clone Wars actually was.
John Favreau is a giant nerd.
Oh yeah, you
We
can
all
tell.
know this, and
You can
the
tell
thing,
Favreau is a nerd by the way there's so much detail, and also too, I get a sense when watching this show of how much he wants everything, especially in this season, to connect to everything that's been done that's considered canon. And I feel like he's almost giving a finger to the movies because he's not like leaning too much into new shit. He's
I
trying to
don't
connect
think
it
Not
he's so
to.
yet.
much a fan of the sequels.
I don't think he wants that. I'll be honest with you. I don't get a feeling like he wants to tie it into the new trilogy whatsoever. I
Would
just get that
you?
feeling watching the show. No, I wouldn't.
No,
But I
but
get
he
that
he
sense
would
from
tie
watching
it
this.
into the show that he played a character in, which was the Clone Wars, where he played Pre Vizsla.
Yeah. I
Yep.
could tell he doesn't have a problem with the old canon, but we all know. John, you can just come
Like,
out and say
okay.
it. You could say you're a fan. We know. We see the love you're putting into this. Just be like,
Once we
yeah,
get
Kathleen
to
Kennedy's cunt.
once we get to episode 3 in this review, I'm gonna bring up something about that. I'm glad that you said something. So, okay,
Yeah.
back to episode 1.
Well, yeah, episode 1. So everybody knows we get to my favorite scene was the opening scene. It was a good startup. It did slow down a bit, but we do get to my favorite
No,
actor.
I was gonna say my favorite scene was when he gives the jetpack to the guy outside. And it's like, okay, yeah, here, you can have the jetpack. That's fine. And he takes off, and he's like, don't worry, I'll be getting that back any moment now.
Oh my God, that shit was hilarious. Dude, I gotta say too, while we're commenting on it, this season has the most violence. I think he skates a very fine line. Like he's got that MCU grittiness of like Winter Soldier. Remember how it was like it was just touching that line. They did some fucking horrendous shit in that movie. It was just touching that line that they could get away with, that PG
Oh, yeah.
13 line. And I feel like that's what the show does. Like, I want to see what the cuts are because this heavy director cuts were like, John, you're on Disney. You can't put this shit in because he just touches that line. Like, he really wants to be on Netflix or something. Like,
Well,
I watch some of this and I go, holy fuck, man, that thing just went flying in the air and he just fucking fell and then the jetpack lands right next to him. I'm like, oh
He
God,
dead
that just
now.
happened. Oh, that creature was dead, man. There was no
man, on
like
Disney Plus,
maybe
there's
he'll.
decapitation.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, man.
this thing is how he's going dark is about as dark as the old Disney movies, when they didn't
they're
care
good.
of pandering to kids, but they could
Yeah,
make a G-rated movie fucking really dark and creepy and scary, and that's something we haven't had in cinema in a long time.
Oh yeah, especially television shows. Like you don't get a lot of television shows, and I know streaming's not the same because they can do a lot, but Disney Plus feels a lot like watching televisions where you had the rating and they can only go so far on TV. And I'm talking about regular broadcast television, not AMC or those special networks that can go a little bit grittier. There's that line that they can't cross. And even shows like The Walking Dead, they showed a lot of horrendous shit, but even they couldn't do certain things because of the network. And this show feels like that, but on a streaming service. And I wish it was on like a Netflix or something like that. I'd love to see what he could do if he could get like an R going, because I think this show would be like, only an R because there'd be like people's heads being cut off and shit. I don't know, but
If
yeah,
there was
this
more
show
of
has
the
had some
heads
pretty
getting cut
dark
off,
shit.
if there was more heads getting cut off, I'd want it to be more of a Sith-based like show or series in the Old Republic.
No, I think you could do that with the bounty hunters, though.
Yeah,
I
you could,
mean,
but I've always wanted, like, if they ever do anything with the Old Republic, I want it to be rated R, centered around the Sith, because you have to show how like aggressive and violent the Sith were, and how they just kill each other so they could just rank up.
I mean, well, you could have done that even with George, Man in the Helm, and back in the days. How many people got their fucking arms and shit cut off, and the series has still got a fucking PG-13? So,
More
you
people
can
have
do
lost limbs in this show
it.
than the entire Disney sequel trilogy.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't
That
want
still
to
pisses
deviate
me
too
off.
far off.
Nobody lost
I
a
don't want
limb.
to. I don't want to deviate too far off though. So the first episode, we get to the town, and this was my favorite scene when Timothy Olenthal came out, and he looked all fucking skinny in fucking Boba Fett's armor. I laughed so hard. I was watching it out in the living room, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, that most certainly is not Boba Fett. But when he started talking, I was like, oh my God, it's Justified in space. This is like, I don't know if him and John are friends, but I got that feeling
Probably.
that John knew he would be perfect to play a sheriff because on TV that's
He already
all.
did that.
Yeah, Timothy has played like two roles on television. His two biggest shows have been a sheriff, and one was Deadwood back in the day. That made him famous. And then Justified, which was my all-time favorite show, where he played an old school kind of guy who was in a modern era. He was the old school marshal.
I thought
Like,
your all-time favorite show was The Sopranos, and then I thought your all-time favorite show was The Shield. Like, you gotta pick one, guy.
oh man. I mean, you're making it hard. Can I have? You know what? I'll have
No,
that debate
you gotta
another
pick
night.
one. My all-time favorite show is Stargate SG-1. Period. Like, just pick a show.
I can't, damn it. We've had I can narrow it down to great shows, but my all-time favorite would be hard because then you got Breaking Bad in there and it
Yeah,
just
I didn't even list that one. I figure I'd let you off the hook, but since you listed it, God, you
yeah,
got
I
about a
know.
dozen favorite shows of all time.
I've got to
Like,
even
I'm
make
sure
your
your
son.
best friends are like, yeah, I'm Zod's best friend. You're like, I thought I'm Zod's best friend. You're like, well, this motherfucker got all the best friends. Does he even have any regular friends? Nope.
But yeah, I see people listing their shows. Lemon Pie, The Shield, and Justify were both great. Yep. I picked Justified. I would pick Justified over The Shield because Justified had a certain tone, and I love how he played like a sheriff in clearly modern times, but he had that old school sheriff mentality. Like the old marshals, they didn't say freeze and shit like that. If you drew a gun on them, they killed you. That was it.
Okay.
There wasn't this, we're going to
I gotta make
disarm them.
I gotta make a comment here. Jamie Vick said The Wire, and then Lemon Pie said, y'all should have a debate on the best show ever. We could have a debate like that, Lemon Pie, except Zod can't fucking pick one, so it's impossible.
Maybe we'll pick some really great television shows. We'll do like 4 or 5 of them, and then we'll narrow it down. And it'll be a quest to help me determine what should be my all-time favorite show. That's
Oh
actually
my
a great
god.
idea. Yeah,
The
well,
crowd determines Zod's favorite show. He
oh,
can't
that would
choose
be
for
great.
himself.
You know what? We'll do that. We'll let the fans and we'll narrow it down. Uh, no, I can't put SG-1 in there because PB is too biased to that, and I'll wind up being no, fucking Stargate was. And you know what? I wouldn't argue with that. Stargate SG-1. I'm gonna say Stargate SG-1 if I had to go with my favorite sci-fi, and it's in strong running with Battlestar Galactica, the new one. Because that's where my love Katee Sackhoff was from, which we'll talk about her when we get to episode 3. Oh God, what great casting that was.
Wow.
But like, yeah, I would say even over Battlestar Galactica, SG-1, that would be my all-time favorite sci-fi show. even over Quantum Leap, all of the good ones. And I like it because it's just brilliant writing, and I like how they can bring up a story thread, and it could be 100 episodes in the past, but somehow they make you remember the threads, like with the replicators and the different. They've had a shit ton of different like villains, but you always remember the big ones, and it always felt cool when they made a return in a random ass episode, and you're like, oh shit, and you could be like excited, and it could be a one-off, but they could then just bring them right back. Um, so they were really good. They were really good in having long-running stories because the main battle.
Continues on. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off with laughter.
Please highlight Lemon Pie's message.
Yes, please.
Debate Stargate
Nope.
SG-1 versus.
Nope. The next one.
Oh,
Lemon Pie said, Zod told Cyber, don't get us off topic. And now.
oh, yeah, that's fair enough. So, let's move along here. So we have the first episode was really good. We had a problem. There's a problem. There's a fucking awesome CGI creature eating folks, and
No, it's
so
only eating it's only eating banthas because they know what it goes after and everything. They're like, we'll take this bantha, we'll put him out here, we'll stake him down, and then we'll run away, and we'll be perfectly fine. And what does that crate dragon do? It eats a Jawa.
yeah, that poor Jawa, man. You know what? With the bullshit they made for the Tuskens in that article,
or Tusken Raider, my bad. It was Tusken
yeah, the
Raider,
Tusken Raiders. Why didn't they make a claim for the Jawas? I mean, the Jawas don't really kill people in Star Wars. They just like steal shit and then resell it. They'll probably steal your fucking shit.
They steal they'll sell you half-ass stuff that they made just so it can break once they finally are out of eyesight.
Yeah, I mean, the Jawas are the ultimate
they don't
Chinese.
Deserve to be, they don't deserve to be eaten. They're just like the douchebags of Tatooine. But I mean, they're just hustling like everyone else. But I would think there's still a race of people that deserve to live.
When they go outside because there's this, let's say, earthquake going on, right? That's what you feel inside, or what we see is going on, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then I see the sand moving, and I was like, oh shit, they got graboids. That's all I thought. I was like, no wonder there was a tremor going on inside. They got graboids. I didn't know it was a fucking crate dragon. I thought crate dragons live above ground.
That's what I thought too, but
I did too, because I thought I saw a picture of what one was, but you can make it it's a little more menacing when it can go through sand.
The sand? Oh my God.
The thing is, we kind of saw part of what it looks like on the outside, but we never got like a really good look at what it all looks like. You couldn't even tell if it even had like maybe it did have arms and legs, and we couldn't tell. And it just had it tucked in when it jumps out of the sand.
Yeah, I mean,
right, no, you never get a fully clear look at it.
Well, yeah, there was one shot where it was running towards Mando when he was baiting it, which, by the way, that was fucking. Can I just mention the CGI was so much better, and it feels like this season got a major upgrade. Like the shots of the creature in particular. How the fuck is it this show has more amazing quality to me than even the movies? Like the shots and the way they frame things, and the creatures in particular, whether it's
let's see how many subscribers resubscribed to Disney Plus in the last month?
Oh God, I'd have to pull up those figures, but
Okay, now let's I'm not asking for the number. I'm just asking the question rhetorically. How much does Disney Plus cost a month?
about $10.
Okay, so let's just say it was 1 million people. He's like, hey, I can get 1 million people to sign up for that if you up my CGI budget $5 million, and then you'll make $5 million. And they said, okay.
Yeah, imagine what he could do if they gave him fucking 80 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
I looked up the pictures of what the Crate Dragon used to look like. It does
used to look like?
yeah. Because
They
you look it
changed
up
what
and
it
you get
looks
the
like?
old pictures. Yeah. Because the old picture, and it's the one I remember, and I found it, looks like well, some of them do look like, dragons, but the one that I found, I remember, it looked like a giant Komodo dragon with horns. And
Okay.
then the one they have, which they remade, is they made it, that giant menacing beast. It still does have horns and a thing, but here's something else I think they should do.
All right, go ahead.
We all know how different species evolve on different parts of like a planet or the climates, right? What if
Yeah,
this
Sure.
is a sand crate dragon? Because it likes living in
that's
the
what.
sand, and there's other ones that makes it. Because even
Oh,
when
I
I
get what
look
you're
up these
saying.
regular pictures of crate dragons, it's different. Like every picture you click is a little bit different.
No, that's fair. And I want to say
Yeah.
the only place that I ever saw the crate dragon before and why I thought they lived above ground was playing the mobile game Star Wars Commander. And it was like one of the special units that you could get. And it was a crate dragon. And it took up like half of your full unit squad or whatever, or of your total units. And then you put it on the field and it just goes through and destroys the shit out of stuff.
Yep, I remember that, dude. That thing was a beast, but I
Okay, so
hated the
yeah,
fact.
so you remember what it looked like in the game, but yeah,
Yep.
Husky's right, and there are like let's call it subspecies of crate dragon. And yeah, this could just be the sand crate dragon.
Because
Which I
even in like I know what the lore is Tusken Raiders have hunted great dragons. And then this one being so hard for them to take care of, I'm like, well, that's because it's a sand crate dragon. The other
yeah,
ones
it's
they're probably
adapted
used
to
to
its
because
environment.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that gives it more realism because it's like in that harsh environment, you would think something like that would have to adapt, and creatures do naturally adapt to their environments that they're in. So, what better way to be a good predator
Yeah.
than to be in the ground hunting? And that would
And
make it impossible for anything to hunt you. It would explain why the Raiders couldn't do it themselves either because they
a
had a
lot of
way to
the
lure it out. They just couldn't get it out.
and
They
I
knew
know a
where it
Yeah,
lot
you
of
was.
just
the
have some Tusken
bones
Raiders
and
walk
stuff
in
you
front of the cave.
yeah. And a lot of the bones and stuff you see, like, the Tatooine and the Clone Wars, there were bones in Tatooine. There was bones in a couple of movies because there's C-3PO walking past like these bones. And I'm like, remember reading, I'm like, oh, these bones are crate dragon, but these ones that C-3PO are walking by, they don't look like the crate dragon we saw in the Mandalorian.
No, definitely not. So, long story short, they got a problem. They decide to go and talk with the Raiders. I like the dynamic. Like, look, the article brought up all this stuff about how they treated the people, but these fucking idiots in the media once again missed the point of the story, which was what was the point? Two cultures that don't get along, that have biases and feelings towards each other. Like, okay, let's use the Western theme because this show kind of has a Western feel, right? Cowboys and Indians. So they didn't get along. They have different cultures. But the Indians didn't kill uh, just random people like was stated. They tried to be friends. Each side did fucked up shit to the other. Hatred built over time. and they just separated. And when we come to this town, it was the same thing. The Raiders had hit some of their mining facilities. They probably fucked with them to get back at them. We don't know the other side really well. They don't go into it. But there's a rift there, and they have to come together to stop a common enemy and, find understanding. And I think that's one of the points of the episode. But they don't highlight that. They talk about, oh, well, they started doing it and it's a step in the right direction, but they still paint them as these savages. And they live in the fucking sand and raid things. Literally, the name of these people are Tusken Raiders. They rape, pillage, and kill people.
Dude,
It's
they
been
are
in the Star
savages.
Wars.
I watched Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. They're savages. They're animals.
They
You
literally.
slaughter them like animals.
I also thought of one more thing with the Krayt Dragon when you were talking. What if the Tusken Raiders, because they said they've had problems with this and they're fighting it before. The reason why it's adapted to the sand is because the Tusken Raiders already chopped off its arms and legs.
Oh, yeah. That could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
they
could be a
thought,
reason
oh
too.
yeah, we beat it, but oh no, it adapted to the sand.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's some interesting stuff to get into. I guess only John and Dave would know that. But I mean, getting back to the Raiders, the Raiders, had these issues with the settlers, and I like that they took the time to show that these two cultures were different. They weren't going to get along. And then you brought them, when they get the win over it, you brought the celebration. The settlers were doing that yell that they do, and they were all throwing their guns in the air. I loved that, the way the story told that. It was a nice story. It was a good, it had a good message, a good theme. And there was some badass special effects. And here's the thing. They said more Raiders got eaten, but I was sitting there rewatching the episode, and I'm like, nah, a lot of people got eaten and fucked up trying to get that
more
thing.
Raiders per
It's just-
capita?
It's just they were able to show it on the screen more with the Raiders.
Yeah, because
pushing that limit again of what you're probably allowed and not allowed to do.
Exactly. John can show alien creatures getting eaten and decapitated, obviously. But then when you get to humans, it's like, whoa, John. We got to do blood and stuff. Can't.
I think that's even thing with like the rating systems and stuff. It's like, because you can watch them slice and dice up, destroy droids, mangle them, whatever you want. But if it gets to a human, you can't do that.
Lemon Pie put it a pretty pretty correct here. Affirmative action of being eaten.
That's right.
But yeah, so they get together, they get this win. The Mandalorian gets the armor back. I love.
Okay, question. What the hell is he gonna do with the armor? Like, what's the point of collecting it?
Like, according to
he wants to return it.
No, well, yeah. If a Mandalorian dies, and they covered this way back in Clone Wars, what they're supposed to do is, if they can't find the warrior or who it belongs to, they take it back to like their hub or to like a sacred place, and they kind of like give them their own burial, and the armor just kind of remains.
So is that like the same thing? Like, if I have some Jewish art that I got from my great Nazi grandfather or some crap like that, and now they're like, oh, you stole that from the Jews. It's supposed to be with this family. We're going to give it back to them. So then they take it from me, and they take it back over to Israel, and they find out, oh, apparently you burned all that family to death, you Nazi bastards. Well, then where does the painting go?
Well, I know you use that, but there are heavy examples of, in the past couple of years, of our returning stuff to Japanese families that they took from the dead bodies. So then, they wouldn't be like looted or anything. And the same thing they did with Germans, and they've been trying to get in the past couple of years. All these veterans have been trying to return some of these things back to their families, and they're able to do that with the way technology is. But
Yeah,
now
so
we're
it kind of
getting
goes
off track.
down the line. It's like with the Dark Blade, and we'll get to that when we get to episode 3. But that's like a heirloom that would just pass along to that bloodline or whoever won it, their descendant, and so on and so forth. If there's not a descendant in that bloodline, it goes to the next one. But they keep it in the group of people. So like how the Mandalorians had the break between the two houses. If they
Well,
couldn't find
they
someone
have
in that
several
house,
houses.
well, you know what I mean. There were two main ones I know of in Clone Wars. That's what I go by. I
Yeah.
don't go by all the other bullshit that's out there. I only know the two houses, and that was the one that had the feud and split into the Overwatch, and then or Death Watch, and then the other one was like the ruling party or the elites. I called them, and that's the only two that I know. The other bullshit
And
doesn't
then the
exist
mall
unless
ones.
it was in the movies, which they weren't. And I hate having that argument with these EU people. Like, but there's several different. Well, the fucking book doesn't count, buddy. If it
And then
wasn't on screen, it doesn't fucking matter.
there's the mall ones, and then Fett, I believe, is a part of his own faction too.
Fat
Yeah,
faction.
which I would love to get into where he fits in. But anyways, we'll get into all that when we get to the third episode. So, anyways, first episode, we get, of course, the shot that made everybody go nuts, myself included, because I'm a
Not
huge
me.
Boba Fett fan. We see Boba Fett kind of stare at the ship, and they give us that shot as he's walking away. And yeah, we all got hyped. So
And that's why I
over
came in with my name, because I'm like, when will we see him besides the back of his head?
no, they showed his face. I rewatched the
Well,
episode.
I know, but it was
They
really
showed like
dark when he turned around.
they showed the whole thing, and I like that he had like scars and shit. I'm interested when like he's gonna sit there and tell his story and stuff like that. I want to know what happens.
No,
But
you don't.
anyways,
You don't know his story. That's going to be the fun part. Just like you don't know how several of just like some of the clones, you don't know how some of them got their scars. You don't know how Django got some of his scars, which keeps it a little
no, I
mysterious.
mean the story of how he escaped, because I'm sure some of those scars were from him escaping the Sarlacc pit. And I
Yeah.
think they were hinting to that the Crate dragon ate the Sarlacc, or the Sarlacc died, because remember he was in a Sarlacc pit, they said,
Mm-hmm.
that cave. So, it'll be interesting to see how they connect it all. But let's just go down the line, and I want to get what the worst things were from this episode, what the best things were, and what your rating is. We'll start with PB. What was your favorite moments, your not so favorite moment,
I
and
already
then what
told
would
you
you
my
rate?
favorite moment. My favorite moment was when he killed the guy with the jetpack.
And your not so favorite moment.
Oh, my least favorite moment was quite obviously when they killed off all of those poor Tusken Raiders. Oh my, it was just the emotional weight of it all. I could barely
Oh
handle
god.
it.
Oh my god.
I
John
don't know, I give
Campea
her a
was
solid 8.5.
yeah, that's fair. Fett, what was your favorite, and then what was your not favorite moment of the episode, and what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I like the fight with the Crate Dragon.
Oh,
Obviously, that was cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that
that's
was
fair.
really good how they did that. I'd still say my least favorite, mainly because it's the only one on my mind, was the flashback backstory, which I thought could have been told with a couple of lines.
Oh, that's a really good point, Cyber. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was kind of unnecessary. Um, that's a really good point. I forgot about that because I know what my least favorite moment was, but that was really that was a really good pitch. So what would you rate this episode as the beginning, getting us back in this world, easing us back in?
Uh, You guys know I'm not really good with the scale of 1 to 10, but I do believe this was a good episode of bringing us back in because you can't have every single episode be a giant action-packed episode like the last 2 episodes of the first season, people. That's why they're at the end of this season and not the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree. So what would you rate the first episode?
So good.
Sounds
Good.
like an 8.
Right.
About an 8?
Sure.
All right. Thanks. We begrudgingly got a rating. Me, myself, my favorite part was actually the beginning. I like how they started it off with a bang. And I liked my favorite line was when he goes, "I'm not going to kill you." And the guy's like, "Oh, yeah, because a Mandalorian, they're big on their word and all this." And then those fucking creatures were in the dark and he goes, and he like shuts the light off or shoots the light out and they all fucking eat him. And he's like, "Well, yeah, he didn't kill him. He said it. He wasn't going to do it by his hand." So you got to watch the wording when you're making a deal with a Mandalorian because holy fuck. He really skated the line on what he was gonna do. Like he was always gonna kill
he did
that
it
guy.
perfectly.
Yeah, he did it. He did it de facto. I was like, and I like that too because when we first started the Mandalorian, I liked that they showed a ruthless character and he didn't pull punches, and then kind of got soft, traveling with Baby Yoda, kind of.
Whoa.
No. Let me finish. He kind of like didn't lose his edge, but kind of got more of I want to say conscience.
You said he got soft.
Yeah, he was less. It felt like he was less likely to do stuff like that. We saw less of that as the episodes went on in season 1. You know what I mean? He starts off like killing all of those fucking people, and then he gets this child, and then he starts like questioning, what he's doing and all this stuff. And that was the arc in season 1. And in this one, it was cool to see that, yeah, he's tamed it down a bit, but he's still a bad motherfucker. And if you cross him and try to hurt the child, he's going to take you out. And I thought that was a good way to establish that he's got that anti-hero kind of edge still. So that was my concern, was they were going to completely change him, and it was going to be like this, like, wacky babysitting in space, but they've really tamed down that whole feel, and it's still like it feels like the Mandalorian is a badass. So I like that. My least favorite part was the whole traveling and showing the travel. I wish they did a Game of Thrones and just fast tracked it. I didn't need fucking long shots of them on speeder bikes just strolling away. It kind of took away from the action for me.
I don't think that this Mandalorian is as big a badass as you think he is. He's just exactly like the bounty hunter from the episode Dead Man Switch of SG-1. What makes him the best bounty hunter in the galaxy? Not that he's willing to take all these crazy risks and, put his neck out there on the line and do all these wonderful, great stories that are worth putting on television. No, what makes him the best is he survives.
Yeah, but I feel like he's a badass because, like, for instance, when we get to episode 3...
No, what makes him a badass is the armor.
Oh, yeah, but, I mean, when we get to episode 3, the fact that he runs into fucking fire just to fucking throw 4 bombs, like, that's pretty badass. I'm sorry.
He threw 2.
I like that scene. I like that scene. I know we're jumping ahead, but it's because it showed the stormtroopers can hit their freaking target. And nobody's going to point that out. They're just going to point out that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But okay, so solid episode. Moving right along to the most controversial episode this season because it has genocide of a fucking tadpole race.
Delicious.
One frog.
Nah,
is she the last of her kind?
I don't know, because she had a husband. I don't know the logistics. I thought I saw another frog person
There's
in
lots of frog people.
yeah, I think and I'm thinking that these fucking critics are gonna eat their words with this stuff. But anyways, especially because the whole thing was disproven by this episode, which I love when critics jump ahead of themselves.
Well,
And
yeah,
then you
because they
see,
make themselves look like idiots all the
yeah,
time.
they look like the biggest idiots because then you get to this episode and the mother watched Baby Yoda and he wind up becoming attached to the little like tadpole and the Mandalorian's like, let's go. And he is like, like, it showed that like, hey, Baby Yoda can distinguish the difference between like, oh yeah, I can eat this because it's nothing versus, oh yeah, I'm gonna
I
eat this
shouldn't
now,
eat
which is
this because it's something.
yeah, it's something that has life now, and I think that was, I think that showed kind of that little Baby Yoda is able to distinguish between the two things, which leads into the
I
whole
mean,
Jedi thing, being force
I saw
sensitive.
him when they first, when he first dropped him off, and he put his hand on there.
Yep,
And he put his hand
and
on
then
the
the
thing, and it's
tadpole.
like he's sensing the life that is coming through there. Like
Yeah,
all Jedi can feel life in the
yeah.
Force.
And here's the thing: these fucking critics don't watch Star Wars. These people who critique this, right? They have maybe the most basic understanding, which comes from the main movies, or maybe not even the main movies. The sequel trilogy, I don't count them part of the main set. And so they think that they know everything that's going to happen. And so they jump ahead. So when we get the next episode, which is funny because John's just like, yeah, wait until these assholes see this next episode. They're just going to fucking look like complete morons, which they do. Because then you get this depth and it's like, oh, yeah, Baby Yoda isn't going to the dark side, you assholes. It's showing contrast. Like, there's more to his character. Like, maybe he sensed through the force that like now this is a life and the balance and all that. And if you guys actually knew Star Wars lore and weren't a bunch of fucking idiots, you'd be like, oh shit, there's that balance. All Jedis are capable of good and evil, all that jazz. That's probably another long philosophical talk for another night. But anyways, episode 2, the big frog genesis. I gotta say, I like the episode, but I have my own gripes that don't have to do with frog genesis or frog genocide.
What they have to
Does
do
it
with
have to
the
do with the
lack
giant
of law and
enemies?
order?
Does it have to
No,
do
it
with
has
the
to do.
giant enemy spider?
No, I love that part. What I
And
hated
my
was,
mom hated that part because she's an
my
arachnophobe. She
girl
was
hated it
freaking
too.
out.
Oh yeah, my girl hated it too. No,
Uh,
but she was intrigued at the same time. It was hilarious. She does not. Oh, that's another thing. My girl does not like Star Wars whatsoever. She started watching this with me, and she's like, "What is this show? I love the creatures. Oh my god, what is that?" And I go, "See, you should have been watching Star Wars because you would have known what that is that you're looking at." And she goes, "It just looks cool." But yeah, and like she doesn't even care about the whole Baby Yoda thing, but she likes monsters and creature designs and stuff. And she goes, "Holy shit!" And then she goes, "Oh my god, spiders!" Like if there's even a little spider in the fucking bathtub, you guys know. If you have a girlfriend, if there's even a fucking tiny little spider to sit there and come out screaming, go like fucking Jason is in the shower or something. like they come running out like they're being attacked and it's this little fucking spider just wandering around your fucking bathtub.
No, I keep my shower is located on Elm Street.
oh god. But yeah, this episode was definitely freaky, but the thing that I hated about this, I gotta say, was I didn't like the whole traveling aspect. Do you guys know what I mean? It kind of felt boring in the beginning until we got to where they felt with the
It
cavern.
felt episode 8-ish.
Yeah, like it wasn't a bad
No
episode.
hyperspace.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a bad episode in terms of how everything worked out, how they got to the plant, their reasons for being there, the action. But for me, it kind of just felt draggy. Like the first
It,
couple of minutes, I was like, I don't know how I feel
it
about
does.
this.
It does. I even felt that too when they said that. I'm like, but it does show you how even the people of in the Star Wars galaxy do take the hyperdrive for granted.
No geekicidal tendencies. No, my
Because they
girl saw the original Star Wars. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to comment on this. My girl saw the original Star Wars. She's just not a fan. I know it's crazy. There are some people out there who just don't like Star Wars, apparently. I know anyone on this panel can't figure out why, but yeah. Yeah, geekicidal, and I agree. I'm gonna pull this up. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Cyber. We'll get right to it. But Geekocidal Tendencies did have a good point here. 33-minute episode. The first 8 minutes were wasted. I felt the same exact way. I didn't like I do like, okay. And this is the funny part, because this is what we PB bitched about on Game of Thrones. Like how people were fast traveling everywhere. This show, though, it feels like they take way too much time getting from point A to point B in a fucking spaceship. Like having normal time travel for a show like Game of Thrones makes sense because they're on fucking foot. But if you're in,
that goes for the time. Actually, it make more sense to keep it with the time. When you watch the uncut versions of Lord of the Rings, which I forgot, I didn't watch the third one uncut. But there is a lot of walking times, but it also allows for a lot of character development when done right.
Yeah. Whereas in this, it's slowed down, but there's not really much going on to keep us engaged while they're going from point A to point B. Like there were little quippy things here and there, but there was just a point where they were trying to make it intense, where like they're being tailed by the X-Wings, which that part was cool, and you saw the wings come up or whatever. But still, it just kind of felt like filling in a couple of extra minutes. There was nothing really dynamic till they started chasing them, and then they crashed into the ice, and then that's when shit picked up. But then there was a lag there too. Like you're in a cavern, okay? And this is for the fucking frog lady that everyone wants to make this brave, stunning character. That fucking creature was stupid. How are you gonna be in a fucking ice cavern and you're like, oh, there's a hot spring, so I'll just bring like, the last of my people in the fucking hot spring with me.
That's
in this
red flag number 1. Hot spring in a cave on an unknown planet. Well, because if you find this hot spring nice, something else finds that hot spring nice.
Thank you, Cyber. I 100% agree. Like, I could see why this race is near extinction.
I had a feeling when they went in, their hot spring was there. Even the Mandalorian acted that way. Is that there's something else in there? Because that's what hot springs are. You're not just gonna like, oh no. There's shit lives around hot springs, especially in very cold areas.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of parts in this episode where I was just beating my head, and it mostly came from this frog. I did not like the frog creature until the next episode. Then I was like, oh, and we'll get to that. But I thought that was a very cute scene.
Man, I was right there with Baby Yoda too. The first time that he grabbed one of those eggs and ate it, I was like, oh man, I'll try one of those. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Fry me up one of those sons of bitches.
Like, I like those parts, and I love like when the Mandalorian is scolding him, and like he's just like looking at him like, "Bitch, I want some eggs." Like,
I like how he just sucks them down like it's Jello.
Oh man, that was hilarious, and I like the little like inside jokes. But I think if there's one critique I could make about this episode was there was a lot of points in the episode for me that slowed it down from keeping me from giving it like an 8, because the last one I rated it about the same, an 8. There's a lot of things in this episode I didn't like, but let's talk about the final scene, the big highlight, the battle with the spiders. That shit was fantastic, and those fucking spiders were scary as shit.
I
And
knew those things were coming up, and I was like, "Oh, I know what these are. I know what these are," because I recognize the eggs, like I said, because I told you from that encyclopedia. I
yep,
looked
I,
at years
I
ago,
heard
and
it
I've
in
had
something
that
like
picture
that.
in my mind for years, and I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, is this?" And then when he ate one, I did turn to my mom and say, and she's like, I'm like, "They are spiders." And then she's
Yep.
like, and I'm like, they will be big. I don't. And then they all started coming, and then the big one came in. And my mom just didn't. Like,
So
Yeah,
I had
that's
to
I guess
say
something
what they were
huge.
because, well, my mom has a lot of arachnophobia.
so. PB, what did
But
you think about the giant spiders? Would you call that pretty much the highlight of this episode? Like that was pretty fucking intense.
yeah,
Oh my
I like
God.
that.
I wasn't sure if all of them were going to make it out. I didn't know that the frog lady moved like a frog until shit hit the fan.
Oh my god, that was hilarious! Like, yeah, I'm looking at Bando running at normal speed, and he's outrunning this frog lady. I'm like, oh, I can really see why this race is fucking gone extinct. Then she gets on all
Right?
fours. I was like, holy fuck!
Right? She just starts leaping like a motherfucker. I was like, oh,
But
that's how you fucking move. Get some,
once
lady.
I
Yo,
should
my
really
god!
put this. I'm gonna put this in incognito mode and find this picture again because I found the picture from that book and it is called the spiders things are called like a krikna, something like that.
Yeah,
That sounds
Geekus,
like a
I do
Jaffa
agree.
word.
Some
Not
spiders
four,
because
3 episodes.
it does refer to them as like a spider.
Yeah,
Let's see
the
here.
3 episodes do start the same, but I think that's just a hook for the Mandalorian. But anyways, yeah, I thought she was gonna knock over Baby Yoda, fucking running away. It was fucking hilarious. I was like, whoa, she should have. She was like, had the babies on her back. She's like, fuck you guys, my race. I'm the last of my race. She just left everybody behind. I was laughing my ass off, like, yo, this lady does
Wait,
not give a shit.
did people in Canada get an extra episode of The Mandalorian? How did he see episode 4 already?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I got the
going through.
I got the picture up, and this is the one that I saw a year ago. Not a year ago, years ago, like elementary school. So the scene is it originally had them on Dagobah, but this
Oh,
is how I knew what they
Yep.
were. These eggs all looked familiar, and they took that picture. Now, when you look it up, there are a couple different pictures of what they have it look like and stuff, but this is the picture I'm pretty sure he went with when they were making it, and
and
he did go with it.
and I give shout out to John. I give him a great deal of respect because clearly he's going to the older style of creatures and things like that. Maybe giving it a little bit of a CGI facelift just to make it, look good on screen, but he's staying pretty faithful to the things that actually exist in the universe. And everyone had this concern or complaint in the first season, but the second season, he's really tying things together. And
They
it's more, like we said, to the old trilogy than it is to anything Disney is doing or has done with the sequel.
looking these
So,
up too. They apparently did make an appearance in Rebels, and Favreau did it a lot more justice than Rebels did. I don't even want to show you guys that. This looks bad.
No, I watched all of Rebels, so I seen it. I don't need to remember it.
but I mean, I
Yeah.
liked Rebels, so yeah.
I liked
They didn't
it.
do
That doesn't mean
couldn't
that I
stand it.
like it as much as I like The Mandalorian.
I couldn't
no,
stand
or even
fucking
as much as.
Ezra.
Nah, that was the big complaint, but that's probably a talk for another day. We could go on for Rebels, but so yeah, they get into a fight. Don't worry, Geekus Idol, we're going into 3 soon. But so they get into a fight. They get saved by the X-wing, and I love the way they play the new Rebel Alliance. And fuck it, I'm calling them the Rebel Alliance. That's what they are. not whatever the fuck they called them in the sequel trilogy. I forgot, it was so fucking stupid. Um, they're always going to be the rebel.
I'm
The
pretty
rebel
sure in the
team.
sequel trilogy they're called the Biden Republic.
Yeah, whatever. You know what? I don't acknowledge the stupid things they came up with in the sequel trilogy. But anyways, so the rebels, they go, yeah, you're wanted for all this horrible shit, but we're just gonna give you a pass because spiders. Like you got you got spiders that tried to attack you, and you had a rough day. Your ship is fucked up looking. You probably won't make it to the next planet. So helping out, and he's like, can you guys like help me repair stuff?" And they're like, "Nah, you'd be all right. You're lucky we didn't fucking shoot you guys down." Yeah, because you
Exactly.
figured they had to chase them in the cave. But I love that little like nod, like, yeah, the Rebel pilots are pretty cool. They were cool in the original series,
Yeah.
and I just like
I like how we still call them the rebel pilots, even though they're the Republic, because they were they were the rebels. Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah. I don't,
now they're the big heroes. I don't mind
yeah,
calling them that or the Alliance, which is what I
yeah.
prefer to call them.
Like I like the fact that they still kept them grounded and down to earth. I like that whole interaction, and then they fucking the janky ship that is barely fucking flying goes on to the next thing, and that's the end of the episode. But I'll start with PB and we'll go down. Best, worst scene, and what's your rating?
Oh, best scene of episode 2 has to be either the first time or the last time. Dealer's choice when Baby Yoda was eating eggs because it was hilarious. I loved it. I don't care about the genocide. I love the egg genocide. Love all of it. And then the worst. What would be the worst part of episode 2? Um, Probably, I don't know. I thought probably the worst part was when he was talking with the frog lady and she was using the what was it, some droid to interpret for her.
That assassin type droid or whatever
Oh,
it was.
it was creepy to me. I was like, what in the hell? This just sounds creepy. It's freaking me out a little bit. I was like, I don't like this translator at all. Something about it is off. You're supposed to be standing to the side like C3PO and telling me what she says, not she's talking into your brain and just speaking for her. And then I don't know. I'll give it 7.
Ah, good. That was a good choice. And yes, I love what Geekicidal Tendency says clearly frog lady hopping away like a frog. Yeah, that was, I mean, she's a frog, she's gonna have some kind of way to get away. I just didn't expect her. Like I seriously thought she was gonna knock down the Mandalorian, little baby Yoda. She was like, fuck these people, I'm out. I just thought that was funny. And Fett, what was your favorite scene of episode 2? What was your least favorite? And then what's your rating? And don't worry if you're just joining us, we'll be just getting to episode 3 as soon as we rate 2, because we were behind. Go ahead. What was your favorite?
Yeah, I told you guys the spiders. I got so excited. That's why I pulled up the picture and everything, because that picture and the thing I read about him, I'm like, oh, okay, I know what these are. I know what these are. And I saw him eating the one. I'm like, oh, I know what these are. You got me excited. It's something from the books. It's something years ago. I'm
Oh
surprised there
no, he
weren't more
sounds like an
EU
EU
stands
guy.
jizzing about this. Well, like,
I do agree. Like, oh man, I can picture you going, I know what this is. I know what this is. And then he eats it. I
didn't want to say anything until it started showing a couple more hints, and I told my mom. I quickly told my mom there's spiders, and she went away. The rest of us watched, but it's like I was like getting excited because my family said, because my brother and my dad's like, oh, Alien, and I'm like, no, this isn't Alien.
Yeah,
Because that's what went through
I'm
their
not
head,
gonna
and
lie, I
that's
thought
what through
about
their head,
that.
and a lot of other people's like, "Oh, alien." I'm like, "No, I know what these are."
No, I thought about that because of how they did the egg cracking, and that had to be a callback to Aliens, and you see the little like fucking legs start to creep out. That is definitely a shot like Aliens would do. But then it was like, nah, fucking worse, apparently. Spiders, they're like, oh man. And like my girl was like, oh, I gotta go for my run, like after she's like, yeah, I'm done. I can't watch this. But yeah, the special effects for that was great. And what would your rating be for this episode from 1 to 10?
I'd say similar to PB, but in a joking manner, I'll say 0 out of 10 needs more Kermit the Frog.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I agree. Kermit would have been like, I gotta get back to Miss Piggy. But no, I agree. My favorite part of the episode, was when they were actually falling through the ice. Did you guys see the reaction of Frog Lady? I was fucking cracking up. Like that reminded me of
So
old school Star Wars hijinks.
was she somebody in a motion capture suit, or is that practical effects?
You
It,
know, I
they've been doing a big mix of both, because remember, the child is puppetry and a bit of CGI, and they're just
Yep.
finding the right amount to do it, and they're whatever they're doing it correctly, and I don't want them to stop doing it.
Oh yeah, I agree because you can't. The best CGI, and I heard this said from a couple of film critics and things. Not to mention someone I at least have to mention once, Jeremy Johns, um, and various others. But the best special effects, universally agreed by people who critique film or shows, is practical with CGI. If you've got really good team, you can make it seamless. So you could have someone in practical effect, practical makeup, but blend CGI into it to give it
Yeah,
a smoother look. Because practical effects look kind of rough at times. If
and
you watch
yeah,
the old Romero zombie movies, some of the designs look fucking weird these days, you know. But blend in
but
a little bit of CGI, and it looks more fluid than just
eh,
normal makeup.
yeah. And speaking of practical effects, a lot of movie studios aren't using green screens anymore. They're using giant LED screens in the backgrounds because it fits better. And I had one more other thing to say with the practical effects. What the hell was it? I think it was something to do with the CGI and stuff. Oh yeah, it's back with the Dark Knight trilogy. Uh, Christopher Nolan had a CGI team recreate the whole scene in CGI. And they went up to everyone in the studio and they said, "Oh, which one's real?" And they thought everyone said the CGI one they thought was the real one, except for Christopher Nolan. Well, because he knew what he was looking for in the scene. But even they put it, like, I saw the video. They put them next to each other. It's like, holy crap! That's what you can do when you've got like a good team with enough patience that doesn't rush CG.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
That's what I
definitely.
like calling it. When you can really tell that it's CG, like it seems rushed.
Yeah, like the Snyderverse. But anyways, Geekocidal Tendency says that Mando can sense 20 guys hiding, but couldn't sense Spiderella. Must have been distracted by naked frog lady. That's very true. Like
But he
he
was
said to the
trying to clean up the damn eggs.
yeah, he
He
was a little
pissed
bit
off.
distracted. I don't
He
think
was pissed
frog
off.
lady quite does it for him. But yeah, so I would say my favorite scene was them breaking through the ice and the wacky expressions and stuff. I know it's kind of odd to pick odd scenes, but I just love how that kind of reminded me of old school Star Wars when they got into wacky hijinks. And then my least favorite was just the moments in between. like PB said, her talking on the assassin droid, I didn't care what that bitch had to say. I really didn't like that character until the next episode. And them traveling, I agree. Like, do we really need that much time to show them going through space when they're in a fucking spaceship? Can we just like get to a planet quickly or do screen wipes? Like, not as fast as they did in Rise of Skywalker, but I do love me some screen wipes, to speed along the fucking action. They're in the spaceship. I don't need to see them traveling every single minute, especially if there's not going to be.
It's important.
But yeah, you know what's weird? My rating is the same as you guys. I found this to be a 7. It was a good episode put together. The action at the end was good. There was just a few things in between that could have been changed. Baby Yoda was fucking awesome. Now let's get to episode 3 finally. And I gotta say, I fucking love this episode. Like, I watched it twice.
Dude, how can you not love this episode? It has the boss.
Yep. And I don't even really give a shit about her. I was
Liar.
more excited for I don't really like Sasha Banks, but I was more excited for Katee Sackhoff, and that's like the perfect casting that I would imagine if you were going to bring in one of the most important in the Clone Wars whole Mandalorian war, one of the most important characters.
Especially because she's supposed to be how much older, right?
Yeah, and a badass. You can't bring in someone like, Amber Heard to play this character.
That's not the name I thought you were going to say.
No, I thought Brie Larson for a minute, but then I was like, no, I don't want to even jinx it. She's not anywhere near Star Wars. I don't want to jinx cosmically. And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, next season of The Mandalorian, fucking Brie Larson.
She's going to be in it, man. Don't worry about it. She already works for Disney.
But, yeah. And I love how they brought in the divide that was already started in Clone Wars. All you idiots that say Clone Wars isn't canon now, that whole storyline is officially canon. It's in a live action format.
It was officially canon when George said he was working on the project.
No. You know how
not according to them. They don't trust George.
Mm-hmm. So now it is official. That whole storyline is canonized and legitimized.
It's Disney.
That's their fallback argument.
Right.
But yeah, I thought this episode was great. We wasted less time in space. Right from the beginning, it was fucking hilarious when he goes to land it. And I thought he was going to crash on the platform. And then he levels it off, and the fucking ship tips into the ocean. I was laughing my ass off. I was like...
because that was so fun. That scene was actually really, really freaking realistic. You always see those crash scenes and everything. It's like, oh, we haven't managed to pull it off here. It's like, oh, he's pulling it up. Oh, no, got fucked up.
Yeah, it was like, oh, he landed it perfectly. Okay. And then the fucking thing just tipped over, and I don't know why. I started laughing in my chair. And I'm watching it on my phone because, my mom's watching something different on TV. And she's like, why the fuck are you laughing? And I go, oh, you just got to see this because it was the most realistic thing. Like, that's one thing I've always hated about things in Star Wars. Like when all of a sudden they should fucking crash and then they pull up at the last minute or something. I know it builds excitement or whatever, but I like how you think
crash landing in episode 3 was pretty realistic too. It took out a freaking tower and several things.
Yep. I was like, yeah, this felt real. So they get to the planet. Frog Lady gets back. This was where I actually like Frog Lady. I thought this scene with her finding her husband was kind of a little sweet there. She, I couldn't understand what the fuck they were saying. What happened to subtitles.
Sure. I thought they were gonna fuck her over hardcore. I was like, they're not gonna crash, but that vial is gonna crash onto the floor crack open. Those eggs are going everywhere. Baby Yoda's hopping down and just going ham on them.
Oh man, that would have, you know how many people would have been, and I'm using air quotes, triggered if that would have, oh my God, that would have been the biggest fuck you from John ever. I would have laughed my ass off. And been,
okay, so either way that this would have played out, so with the way that the episode played out, made all of these writers look like morons anyways. And if that would have happened, it would have made them look like morons anyways. Been like, yeah, Baby Yoda was the one committing the genocide, except when they crashed and it killed all the eggs.
yeah, so I mean, it was pretty cool, but they didn't crack open. Everything was okay.
No, she
We
was
saw,
actually useful for once.
yeah, like this episode really made that lady. And the sad part is, she's like done, right? She went with her husband. They did their, they had their.
No, she was done and she did exactly what she was supposed to. She connected him to her husband or mate or whatever the hell you want to call frog people when they're connected to each other, to the others that look like him.
Yeah, and we got so here's the thing that upset me about uh this whole thing. Yeah, Theo Moss, we covered that. Fucking eating eggs is genocide. I'm glad everybody sees that as stupid. We got the greatest viewers because, and I mean, I've been seeing this across the internet too. The disconnect between the media and the people is just tremendous because a lot of people saw that article and go, who's these people on Twitter complaining? Because we're not. They got thousands of posts. I went through their posts. I didn't pull one thing where someone was like, oh my God, Baby Yoda's a fucking villain now. He's eating his unfertilized eggs. What a little fucking evil bastard. You know?
If he had it his way, he would have eaten all those spiders.
Oh, yeah. I think I would say he would have eaten the spiders before those eggs because he ate that and he was like, oh, yeah, this is better.
It's
It's
some
like
serious
all those
gourmet
other-
shit right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was my gripe, probably my only gripe with this episode. I have one. Why the fuck? Like, Mando is this awesome bounty hunter, and this is my discrepancy with his character. He can go against 20 fucking troopers. He can go into fucking beast mode and kill all these people. But why can't he, for the life of me, why can't he spot an obvious trap? As soon as he was on that ship, and I was looking at all these guys, and I'm like, I've been in the Navy. These sailors look, and like,
They wanted to fuck him anally. That's what you thought.
okay, like I haven't heard that one. Anyways, so they're leaning. Why the fuck? Okay, he's looking over this thing. Why is he leaning over the fucking water thing with the fucking child next to him?
We were starting to asking questions because we kind of missed White and we're like, wait, what's going on right here? What's going on? Something was up. You could feel something was up.
It was the biggest setup, and it's like if we as an audience can figure this out before the Mandalorian, like how does that happen? He's supposed to be this like
maybe he's not a good judge of character.
This has been my only gripe and a big running theme. It's like, you're the man, right? You should figure by now everybody in the universe wants to kill you. Okay? Like every planet he goes to, 90% of the time, people are fucking trying to kill him. So why in the world would all these big fucking sailor squid things, would you stand over a fucking pit of water and go, yeah, there's this amazing creature that's fucking terrifying eating these fish. I thought it was going to be a cute fucking dolphin. Nope. It's got like fucking 18 fucking teeth.
Looks like a sandworm, but in the water.
But in the water, oh my God, that shit was scary. And I was like, he just fucking leans over the pit. That annoyed the shit out of me because I'm like, Mando, how can you go from this scene and then you go into the fucking the spaceship to do the cargo jacking and he's like fucking badass McGee. He fucking runs out there in the middle of laser fire, throw two bombs, take
like
out.
I said, I think he's a terrible judge of character.
Like, PB, am I
And
wrong?
there's probably a reason.
I
Like,
feel like you're putting it
in season
mildly.
1, it showed us that he didn't have a lot of human interaction growing up.
I mean, PB, do you think that with that setup, that I mean, at first when he's rolling around on the boat, there's no clear indication these guys are hostile, okay? But then they're like, oh, they seem like friendly, like, oh, does the kid want to see something cool? Like, oh yeah, okay. But then like they all start kind of circling around, and he's fucking just leading into this pit of water, and I'm like, Mando, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You're a bounty hunter. Why the fuck are you leaning
He's trying
so
to
close
see what's going on. They told him they're going to show him something cool, man. Don't you want to see something cool?
It was like, and then the way they threw the baby in there. I'm sorry, I laughed my ass off. I was like, this fuck baby in the water. It's like, that was some heartless shit, man. Baby Yoda is cute, and they just took and fucking flung his little like baby carriage thing. I don't know what you want to call it, little steel.
That's how Jon
protective
Favreau
steel.
appealed to the people that really hate the baby.
Oh yeah,
I
man,
got
they just
eaten.
flung him right the fuck in there. I was like laughing my ass off, but that was a clear setup. Okay, he gets saved, and the big reveal, we get a crossover from Clone Wars. Let me go down the line because this is a pretty big moment. What'd you guys think? And I never really liked this character until Katee Sackhoff
Of
was take
course.
the lead. Now, confirm my favorite character.
I screamed at my family that they need to catch up on the Clone Wars. I don't want to explain everything to them. They're like, "Well, you explain it." I'm like, "No, you guys you gotta fucking watch it. You gotta watch it because there's a lot more things that I'm not even covering, so you understand this."
That's what I said to the wife. I was like, "Oh, that's the chick from the other show," and she goes, "What other show?"
I still haven't told. I'm not going to tell them because it's a great surprise reveal when you find out who her sister is in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and I liked that dynamic until we got to the end, and I just found her character kind of condescending cunt. And now, though, in this episode, when it was revealed, she still has that condescending cuntiness to her. But
yeah,
I was like, I love Bo-Katan in this iteration, and dude, Katee Sackhoff
at this point in her life, though, especially with the Clone Wars, she has nothing left to fucking lose. She doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I just love how they did her character because, first off, Katee Sackhoff, if you guys have ever watched Battlestar Galactica, was where she started. But any movie or role, she, to me, is what you could sell as, and I'm doing air quotes, a strong female, because she just has that kind of, she's a very physical actress, and she just, like, she's the type of person you see and go, oh, yeah. She's a badass. Like, she could just look at you and be like, oh, yeah, she could kick my ass.
She could definitely kick. I'm saying she could definitely kick Rey's ass.
Oh, yeah, that would be hilarious.
No, but Rey has fourth part. No, fuck me. No, she could.
Yeah,
she could take Rey down.
Oh, you know what? You bring an interesting point, PB. I want to drag you into this. Her against Rey. Who do you buy more as a strong, powerful female character? Bo-Katan and the way she came in, she was fucking ruthless in this episode, or the amazing Rey Skywalker / Palpatine / I want to appropriate other people's names.
Well, it's a huge power to just be out there changing your name because you don't like your last name. So you got to pick Rey, man. It's not very powerful to be, taking on the Empire and trying to reclaim your homeworld. What's powerful about that?
Like, and I love how we were all wondering, like, this whole time, like, what the fuck was going on with that? And I like how you still see there's this subgroup. And here's another big reveal that I've not heard anyone talking about. The Mandalorian was actually indoctrinated, because that's what they did, by Overwatch. How come no one's taught? Like, that's a fucking huge deal, because I never put that together until this episode, and I was like, oh shit, he's been
Overwatch or
with Overwatch this whole time, or Death Watch.
It's Death Watch,
Death
and I don't
Watch,
know
man.
what the hell
Overwatch
he's
is a
been
game.
watching or playing. What the hell is Overwatch, guy?
Oh, it's a great game. I'm sorry. I've been playing that game.
And no, I figured out he was from Death Watch when it showed the flashbacks in the first season, and I looked at the armor. I'm like, that's Death Watch armor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Cyber, not all of us is fucking like a encyclopedia of Star Wars knowledge.
I just
you
put two and
literally
two
have
together.
an encyclopedia.
Just put two. I don't have that encyclopedia. I don't. I rented it from the school. You caught me. I've been trying to find a copy of it for myself.
Like he literally has an encyclopedia. Like, well, when I saw the armor, I fucking knew right away. And I was like sitting here, I got stuck. Did you even put that together, PB? That holy shit, he's been with Death Watch this whole time, and we've never realized it.
I said it when I saw him pick him up. I'm like, hey, that's Death Watch. And I thought everybody noticed
I didn't overtly know that he was from, let's call it, the Death Watch side of Mandalore, but I guessed more so that he was from the Death Watch side of Mandalore because of the code that he lives by.
This is the way.
That was funny when she went. That was kind of funny when she used that against him.
That was beautiful.
Oh man, so let's talk about some of the highlights. This episode had so many. This was definitely, it's weird because this was the point where we were saying in season 1 that was the best episode. Remember, it was the 3rd episode again, wasn't it?
Yep, yeah. where the Mandalorians show up.
Yep, and this was a great episode. For me, I'm just gonna say, and it's not me being biased, but maybe totally biased. Katee Sackhoff really steals the show in this episode as Bo-Katan because there's a certain ruthlessness about when they fight that that you could see they developed from their war with Death Watch, because Death Watch was a ruthless faction. Remember, they had to be. So when they had that civil
Death
war,
Watch was led by Pre Vizsla, and then it collapsed under Maul, and it split, and which created a civil war with one side being led by Bo-Katan,
and the other one being led by whoever the fuck now. So, you could see where she's become kind of ruthless, and she's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck that you've got like a child and your own quest. You either do this shit and get the information, or you can jump out of the fucking ship now. And I reference that because he'll do that later. That was also fucked up, man. He just helped them beat like 800 stormtroopers and get a hold of the ship. And she's like, yeah, we ain't turning this motherfucker around. You're gonna have to just like jump out. You got a jetpack. You'll be all right. We didn't break the atmosphere yet.
Fly back to your child.
Even though my family, like I said before, is not caught up in the Clone Wars, I did tell them an important thing of why Bo was so about the Darksaber. I told him because the Darksaber is the only thing that can reunite the clans of Mandalore.
Yeah, and I like how
interesting. I put it a different way. I said he, and yeah, I know I said he. Get over it, feminists. He who holds the Darksaber is the one who rules Mandalore.
That's the other thing, though, too. But usually whoever does it, the leader, is the one that ends up reuniting them. And speaking of that, we got 3 candidates in the old, I believe, canon or stuff. I believe Boba Fett managed to wield it and led them into prosperity. but we also have Mando and Bo-Katan. So out of the three of them, who do you think would be the one wielding the dark saber at the end of all this?
Oh,
Ooh.
I don't even know how to call that. I don't think Mando really wants the responsibility. I think
I
he's more
I
of a
don't think he
rover.
does either.
I don't think he'd go for it, but save that for a second because at the end, we're going to theory craft. And actually, that's a really good point to bring up as our first theory. So hold on to that. Let's get through the rest of the episode, and then we're going to theorize where the show is going. The dark saber, that's an excellent point. We're going to bring up who we think is going to get it. But yeah, so Bo-Katan, they all take the ship. Dude, stormtrooper lives matter. That's all I gotta say after seeing
Do
this.
they?
Holy fuck, dude! The amount of extras that got killed off in the show. Oh my god! If there is a PG-13 metric, he tiptoed that line very fine because they used blades. I mean, she ruthlessly killed the shit out of that one guy where she was like, fuck my gun, I'm just gonna stab him with the little like wrist blade thing.
I
And
love
I
it.
was like, that was so awesome. Like, I love too that I just brought those scenes because fun fact for anyone who's a super fan of Katee Sackhoff, she does her own stunts. She does all of her own stunt work. Like in Battlestar Galactica with the fight scenes, she fucking trained months before shooting and learned martial arts in order to play Starbuck and to fight with like the guys when they're doing so all of those fights in that show, she fucking did all of the stunts. She took punches from dudes. I mean, so in this show, she probably did her own stunts and all of the choreograph for the fight scenes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I thought it was brutal when they all went out the airlock. The
oh my
family
god,
freaked
yes!
out
I can't believe they showed that.
When the Imperial killed the other two to crash it. I'm like, well, that's similar to what George kind of inspired the Empire got inspired by for the Empire was
There were
Nazis. Yeah. Oh, you're going to get captured or something? Well, time to kill yourself.
I know there was a lot of dark shit in this episode.
That is actual, not the let's raise our fists in the air because this guy was shouting. You idiots with the sequel trilogy. No, that's actual Nazi shit right there. What happened?
Oh yeah, he was
like officers and shit would do, so they wouldn't get captured or anything.
Yeah, I love that scene where he looked at him and he goes, if you guys you guys can threaten to kill me, but basically he's gonna do the same, or probably worse, because it's Carlo Esposito, who I love, Moff Gideon, but he was like, yeah, you guys don't scare me. The dude who has the fucking darksaber scares me. So,
I thought his name was Mr. Edgar.
Mr. Edgar, there might be a crossover here, PB. Find out.
You never know.
Mr. Edgar is like the descendant, or Moff Gideon is the descendant of Edgar. He's like future Edgar. But no, dude, it was Theo. I am gonna get to that because I have a feeling next episode we're gonna get Ahsoka. Yes, my other love, Rosario Dawson. But anyways,
Jesus.
I thought this was
Scott is just having an erection during these during these next few episodes.
My God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been definitely hard to watch. So, anyways, yeah, but like the fight scenes were awesome. The highlight, Mando just fucking looks and they're like pinned down, and I'd say this was my favorite scene, dude. Mando's Bespin armor that shit must be high quality.
Best
because
car, not
Did
best
you just
spin.
say Bespin?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I was thinking of a place.
At least it's a Star Wars word.
Yeah, so his best car armor, dude, that's some high quality shit, man. He ran into gunfire, laser fire, and just fucking took those laser blasts like
And the
a
troopers
champion.
hit their mark, guys. They shot his chest, couple shoulder hits, but they shot his chest and his head several times. I thought he was going to get knocked out on the ground because of all the impacts.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking nuts. I loved it. And then he threw the 2 bombs, and the kills in this were brutal. Like you said, the airlock scene was probably the most surprising for me, because they don't really like to show like humans dying, but that dude was fucking dead. He got sucked the fuck out. That was a crazy scene.
Done.
I was like, yeah,
and
he's
they didn't
done.
pan out to see if like, oh, there's no, you just assume they're dead.
Oh no, they didn't
for
have
a
to check.
second there, I thought they were killing their own people, and I was like, wait a second. So I went back, I rewatched, I was like, oh wait, no.
Yeah.
They trapped them in the room that controlled the room they were in, like a bunch of fucking idiots.
I know. I was just thinking when he goes, we trapped them in the airlock. I was like,
Where?
you guys.
And when he kept saying where, I'm like, that's not good.
I was like, you guys.
You knew something was coming when they kept saying where. You're like, oh, someone's going to get fucked. It's like either the ship's going to explode or something else.
Yeah, I was like, yo, that you guys, I can see why the Empire is not doing well right now. Come on, guys, really?
Because Moff Gideon's the smartest one.
Yeah, it's like you guys didn't figure out maybe you shouldn't trap them by a place where they can control the very room you're in. Like
something else, I keep thinking of something else that'd be really, really exciting. If this, I don't know how many people would be able to handle it. Is if they bring in Thrawn, and it's not just like Moff Gideon, but there's like a couple like Moffs and other things that are like leading.
Yeah,
almost
but
like
don't jump to the predictions. Yeah, we'll talk about all that speculation.
Okay,
good.
Because
what we would like to see. For right now, let's just go through the episode. So, let's get a rating for this, and then we'll go through the same shit we have been. PB.
You didn't even ask me what my favorite scene and what the worst scene was. You just want to know my rating? I give it a 9.38.
That's oddly specific. And what's your favorite and or worst scene of the episode?
Oh, favorite scene is probably when that thing ate Baby Yoda, man. I was not expecting that.
No, sure as shit we weren't.
Hell no. I was like, oh my God, it ate him. He's gone. Son of a bitch. I was like, wow. And I mean, I would encapsulate all of the scene, and then the Mandalorians show up and end up saving them. Like, all of that is that one scene. And I was like, oh, well, there we go. And then that parlayed into a later scene, which I thought was excellent, being able to tie all of one episode back together. But the worst scene in episode 3, oh gosh, the worst scene is probably I'm gonna go with the very last scene, making fun of the Mon Calamari, that when he jumps into hyperspace, part of the ship falls off. Come on now.
And I know you're reaching for one, but yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't even think about that under my worst scene, but yeah.
Yes, I am reaching.
that was a pretty good poll. Okay, Fett, worst, best, and then your rating.
Well, let's see here. I did like the scene where the Mandalorians came in, but I will say, because I kept saying it, the stormtroopers hit their mark. He had his Beskar armor protecting him, but they hit their mark. They're not shitty shots, people. They hit their
I
mark.
knew
I
you were
like
gonna say
that.
that.
I like that so much. We're seeing he would the child eating the soup. I don't fucking know.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man, that
Yeah,
was like
see, I
right
Not
up
couldn't
the
there
call
with.
octopus
that.
That
part.
was
I thought it was
almost
funny.
my favorite scene.
Not the octopus part. Just the part of him eating it. Fucking. I don't know. It's so damn hard with this episode because I gave it a 9.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking you guys to reach because I think we can all agree this episode is a 9. Just like, ironically enough, our last reviews for the season, they're coming out about the same. If I go back through, because I have those videos of us and LB, we rated these the exact same. The first one started off slow. The second one was the first one was in the middle. The second one was kind of the weakest one, and here we are. The third episode is solid 9 because it was. I agree with Theo Moss. Wasn't really bad scenes, or if there is, they're so minute. It's hard to fucking pick. Like, oh yeah, that's bad because everything connected to
No,
everything else
right.
in this
You like
episode.
you're saying it's a bad scene because it's not as great as all the great
Great
scenes, which
scenes,
doesn't
yeah.
make it a bad scene. It's like, oh, it's a bad scene because it's only an 8.5 and not a 9. Oh no.
No, yeah, that's my thing. It's not, I don't say it in the context of a bad episode. I'm just saying something within the episode you felt, you could take or leave. And that's hard because every scene in this episode is just so well written and so well done. But I'll tell you, my favorite was actually the ending. I love when they're flying away and you see Baby Yoda ate that fucking squid thing that was going on the top of the chain and everything, and the fucking Mandalorian grabs it. And then you see like him slurping the tentacle, and I was like,
Oh, I thought he was just going to eat it straight up. When it crawled out, I was like, oh, he's going to eat it. He's going to eat it. He's going to eat it.
I thought
And
it. I
then
thought. I
it
thought it was gonna
started
fall on
crawling towards
him.
him. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, shit, something bad is going to happen. Oh, no. Oh, no. And then the Mandalorian grabs it. And I was like, oh, okay. Everybody's safe. And then they cut back to him and he's eating it. And I was like, oh, he did eat it. Okay.
But you knew he was going to eat it, but the thing is, I almost thought like, oh, he's going to fall, but he was going to grab it and like shove it in his mouth. That thing thought it was going to eat him, but nah, the Mandalorian
Right.
thing though, yeah.
yeah, it was. I mean, I thought that was cute because it was a callback to when he was eating the soup and the thing fucking attacked his face. I was fucking laughing my ass off. I was like, nah, motherfucker, you ain't eating me. And he's like, don't play with your food. I was laughing my ass off. Like, Yoda's in the corner going, nah.
So then what's the worst scene?
The worst scene for me, I already articulated. I hate when they have to. I feel like because they don't know what always to do with Mando, because 1 minute he looks badass and 1 minute he doesn't. I hate when they do those fucking setups that they put him in. I hate that shit. Like, you're the best bounty hunter. And someone mentioned this in episode 2, right? He scouted 20 troops out when they were in the ship, right? He's this alert guy, but you can't smell that setup. And the biggest thing that pissed me off was him bending over that fucking water pit. Like, there's a point of being curious, and then there's a clear setup when you're bent the fuck over the whole entire pit. Like, it was so telegraphed. And I hate when they do scenes like that. It feels like it treats the audience stupid because, look, that makes it too obvious and it takes the surprise away from an ambush. It's okay to have like an obvious setup, but I like my ambushes to kind of make sense. Like, oh, the character had no way to get out. There were several times he could have like detected something or got the drop on him, and their ambush would have been fucked up. But he almost like it's almost scripted. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna trust these strangers I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm gonna bend the fuck into this pit and just look at this water. And oh, they threw Baby Yoda in. I'm still not gonna do anything. I'm just going to just fucking stand here and let them toss me into water.
I still like the part later. It's like, you killed my brother, and they're going around, and then the other three come in, and then Bo-Katan goes, "I did."
She goes, "No, I killed your brother."
Completely unfazed. Is man.
You want to know what's funny?
They kept her as the hard ass.
I wasn't fully paying attention the first time that I watched it, and I thought that the squid face guy who came out when he said that to Mando was talking about the guy that he killed in episode 1 of season 1. I was like, wow, that's quite a callback.
Yeah, I didn't yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even connect those two until I was like, oh yeah, the boat. Like, no, that scene just pissed me off. And you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, I hate when they telegraph ambushes, because then it makes the character look stupid, which you've established he's not. And it's just obvious. It kind of treats the audience like they don't have the intelligence to figure out this is a setup. I
agree with you. And my best analogy that I can think of is when it's supposed to be an ambush like that, and they play the wrestler's music anyway when he runs out.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect example, because like, oh yeah, and it's a WWE thing. They've been doing it for years. It's like an obvious telegraph where you could pick out
it that way.
Yeah, where you could just pick out and you're like, oh, they're cutting to backstage. Yep, this person's about to get jumped. I just hate that, because it takes away. It's different when it's like something like WWE, right? Because yeah, there's characters or whatever else, but it's kind of a live thing. But it takes away from a show like this when you establish a character is this badass who's like number one on the Bounty Hunters Guild list. Like, this is the man. This is the person everybody wants to be and or take the mantle from, right? So as the man, you always have your head on a swivel. And I'm sure one can argue with me, but Zod, dude, he's got the child. He's distracted. Bullshit. He could still sit there and fucking fight a cave full of spiders and carry little fucking Baby Yoda who was waddling. He had to grab him and pick him up. Right? And he could run with this child in his arms and shoot with pinpoint accuracy at these fucking spiders. But he can't, on a boat where there's no action, there's no sense of danger, he can't fucking look around and go, this shit doesn't seem right. Why is everyone gathering around as I'm looking at this pit? Like, the signs were just too obvious. And that annoys me, because it takes me out of what I'm watching. And I just get fucking pissed off at the screen and start yelling at the character, because I'm like, how can you not see this very obvious setup coming? It's one of the things that a lot of writers do, and they're pretty good with this show at letting things happen. But when it comes to ambushes, even in season 1, some of the fucking ambushes are so fucking obvious. It just pisses me off, because it really takes away from the character of the Mandalorian, and it really downplays how, like, intelligent he is, how hard he is to kill. Because it's like, all you got to do is become this guy's friend, and he'll just fucking follow you right into a fucking ambush.
Well, yeah. You got to play the long game with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, it really does kind of grind my gears with that. But like we all said, this is nitpicking. And look, our job is to critique. And I like to point out some stuff that I feel like other people critiquing are just fucking idiots, and they point out these stupid random things that don't make sense. Here on this channel, I want to be a little bit more technical and bring like some shit maybe you weren't thinking of. Like those type of things to me are flaws in story writing. It gives me a sense that the writer doesn't know how to get from point A to point B or set something up, right? A good writer can make a scene organic where you watch the scene and you go, "Oh shit, there was no way they can avoid that." Like
I mean,
I'm trying to think of
sometimes I like my scenes to be on HGH.
well, let's think about Clone Wars, right? Think about any setup like I'm trying to think of a good one. PB, help me out. You're also a Clone Wars fan. Let's
Oh,
think
I
of a
mean,
good
I
time.
don't always know the names of episodes, but I know like a good episode to me is the one where Maul and what the hell's his brother's name? I can
Savage
never
Opress.
remember. Savage are dueling with Sidious.
Oh yeah. Oh,
No, I'm talking more about think of a
don't bring
good
that scene
trap.
up. Don't bring that scene up. That scene is the reason why I hate the ending of episode 8 the most. Oh, no, not 8. Yeah,
No,
yeah. No, not 8.
no.
10, 9. Fuck. What was the last one?
Episode trash. We got it.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about think of a good setup we had where you didn't expect the ambush coming and you go, well, fuck, there was no way they could get out of that. Like somewhere where a character is ambushed, but it makes sense and it happens to a way where you're surprised and you go, well, the character really couldn't have seen that coming.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, there's got to be 3 or 4 times that Darth Maul frickin' ambushed somebody in the Clone Wars.
yeah, you know what I mean? And those types of, I'm trying to think of something specific, but, or let's go to, okay, here's a good one. Cad Bane
I was
takes
just gonna say, how many times did Cad Bane do it?
Oh,
yeah, he's
yeah.
the best. He's the best. Okay, let's go with Cad Bane takes the whole fucking Senate hostage. First off, who in the world could have predicted a bounty hunter would be that ballsy? And when I watched that whole episode and how it comes about, I did not see that coming because that's the introduction of Cad Bane and the bounty hunters. But the way they locked shit down and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, fucking Padme's fucked because it's just Padme. I don't care what she did in episode 1. Cad Bane's a fucking boss, and there was no way they were getting out of that. But I mean, yeah, like when you watch that, that is one, you don't expect them to take like all of the Senate hostage. And two, you don't really see a way where people can get out of it. And it feels like, oh my God, they got lucky. That's the kind of sense that I want. Now,
Yeah.
you look at this
In,
setup.
well, here's the thing before you can talk about this setup. Remember how Hondo figured that Darth Maul and Savage or Press were going to go after him and how he managed to lock up Dooku and all that?
Yeah.
Hondo figured these people out very quickly. But that's the other thing, and that's why I say I think the Mandalorian's a terrible judge of character because Hondo figured out everyone very quickly. He's a pirate. He thinks someone that would think like him. That's how he thinks.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks just like him. So then he's got to think 3 steps ahead of them, and what he'd do to them. I don't think the Mandalorian's like that. He's good in combat and all that stuff, but he's not the person to judge character. I think that goes back to him being an orphan and stuff, and not really growing up around these people. He pretty much grew up in a shell of the Mandalorians.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good way to put it. I mean, just in the context of the story, though, I feel like it breaks the flow a little bit. But when you present it that way, that is some pretty good facts. You could also say, uh, you know, doesn't have. Yep, Theo, we agree. Hondo he's a genius. I would love to see him come in the Mandalorian. But
Hondo is the best bounty hunter.
I don't
oh
know
yeah,
why it's that there's people that hate him. I'm like, no, he's
he
awesome.
was one of the best parts of
I know.
Rebels. Like seeing Hondo back, I'm so fucking jazzed.
Hondo's the best because in one episode he's stabbing you in the back, and the other one he's helping you out, or vice versa.
He is the quintessential smuggler slash what do they call them? Rogue. He's one of the like best rogues
he's a pirate.
ever
He's like
created.
he is pretty much the chaotic neutral.
I don't
Yeah, like
understand why somebody could dislike him because he's like that friend that you loan $10 to, and then they come back to you and they're like, "Hey, man, I just need $10," and you're like, "I already gave you $10." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. I'll pay you back." And you're like, "Okay, fine," and you're just gonna keep doing that for the rest of the time.
And then you eventually get pissed off at him, and but then he ends up paying you back, like everything, and then some. But then in the next couple of weeks he'll be wanting to borrow money again. That's Hondo.
Yeah.
Fucking Hondo. He'll pay you back in time, but then he'll be asking you for money in like a couple of weeks after he's paid you back.
Yeah. Oh, that was great, Cyber. So, all right. So we all agree, solid episode 9. And definitely leave us
I can't
comments. to let
believe
us
that
know.
you really don't like Sasha Banks?
No, I can't stand her. I don't like her in the WWE. I thought her character was, you could have put anybody in that particular role. She added nothing. Her performance was so like generic. Honestly, you could have put anybody else in that armor and it would have been the same thing. She added nothing.
Are you talking about one of the extra Mandalorians?
See,
Yeah, the
that's
other
what I mean,
female
PB.
man.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You made my point perfect.
we got fucking Bo-Katan and then Mandalorian 1 and 2.
No, you have Bo-Katan and Mandalorian man and Mandalorian female.
Yep. They made such a big deal because Sasha Banks. And look, this isn't a sexist thing because I don't even fucking remember the guy and what he did. The only one
guy, how could it be?
was
How could somebody call you out on this being a sexist thing when you were more than excited for Katee Sackhoff being there?
Oh yeah, like dude. Okay, I was excited that they had
we were
Bo-Katan.
talking about Bo-Katan the whole time, like before this thing. Remember, we were all talking about how badass she is, and then we keep bringing it up every once in a while. I was like, it's just fucking savage, man.
Yeah. When I was, I was already excited because as fans of Rebels or Clone Wars, because she was in both, when she came on, I knew by the armor who it was. Okay, I had no idea who the actress was going to be because I stayed off, the thread spoiling it. But I knew that like they were going to get someone high profile. But when she took that fucking helmet off, I had to go into another room and scream. I'm like, fucking Katee Sackhoff! Oh my god!
Yeah,
this is the greatest fucking casting
he had
ever!
to go in another room and scream. That's what he did in that other room. He screamed.
Well,
More
I'm
like
trying to keep it PG for the kids. But no, it was like, and see, here's the problem, PB, because you had Sasha Banks there, but they really didn't give her a role to make her stand out. So it's just
they made her stand out the most by having her be the only Mandalorian that I've ever seen do a drop kick.
Or that's black, because I've never seen a black Mandalorian. Have you? I think that's a first.
Nope.
So I mean, we got two things there, but here's the problem.
But I had never seen a Mexican Mandalorian either until the show started.
So yeah, we've got all sorts of different things going on there. But here's my other problem with her in the role. You have Katee Sackhoff, who's more known in the TV world, and then you have Sasha Banks, who's a WWE wrestler. And I'm not saying she's not known, but you wouldn't know who she was if you don't watch WWE. And let's be real, how many fans
remember what I said and you guys laughed.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't know who that is. You guys
Yeah,
kept
like
talking about her, and then I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh, is other Mandalorian?
You still don't know who the hell she is.
I don't know. I don't even know who the guy is.
No, the guy is familiar to me. Like I've seen him in stuff before, but I don't know his name.
Nah, his haircut's familiar because that's a common haircut.
Oh man, but see, Husky though, through his jokes, he's making an actual good point. Is that really for me? And this is what pissed me off. I went to Grace Randolph's channel, right? And she
Oh, of
goes,
course you did. Right after
yeah,
you probably did that right after you went in the room after you seen Katee Sackhoff.
yep. Anyways,
You're like, yeah, I can do the Grace Randolph review at the same time now. Yeah.
so anyways, she makes this comment, and I'm really starting to be like, come on, Grace. But she makes this comment like, oh, everybody made a bigger deal about Sasha Banks than Katee Sackhoff. And I'm like, but did they really? Because when I was looking, a lot more people knew who the fuck Bo-Katan was versus Random Mandalorian 3. And you could see by the picture I put up who's in the front, Bo-Katan, and who's the two people off to the side? Mandalorian, Random Mandalorian 2, Random Mandalorian 3.
And I will be honest.
So-
I did see like Zod's thumbnail before like seeing the episode, which got me more excited to see it because I'm like, yes.
And I was like, come on, people. You know, Bo-Katan was always going to steal the show as soon as fans realized who she was. But if you wanted to make another Mandalorian stick out, I felt like her scenes were so just generic. Like, oh, she's the sassy Mandalorian. Like when she's talking to Mando, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking Sasha Banks. I can't fucking stand her in WWE. And now I gotta fucking listen to her line delivery, which is just fucking horrendous. She's like, oh yeah, I'm the snappy one. It's just like,
okay, I want to know. I want to know because Jon Favreau was pre-Vizsla. Do you think they'll do any flashback back to her or her and pre-Vizsla or nah? Or you think if she has anything, it'll just be something he said to her and you hear that like in a voice in the background?
I'm really hoping that they do some type of flashback because they alluded to it when they were talking in general, when they were sitting there having a, what do I want to say, having a drink at the... Woman, I don't know what the fuck you're trying to point out to me right now. You're just pointing that shit. Jesus Christ. God damn, I'm trying to make a fucking point. You're just pointing that shit over here. God damn. Anyway, what I was saying was they were talking about how Mandalore is cursed and everything, and I assumed that they were just speaking on how the Emperor, Chancellor, whatever the hell you'd like to call him at that point in history, was just telling people, don't go there because Darth Maul is there and he'll tell you who I am.
yeah.
Right? Is that not what they were talking about?
Yeah. I felt like, I felt like that was the thing. And it's cool because that whole battle then feels like it has weight on what happened to the Mandalorians and why they're spread out. And I also like how you see
or
the two.
Maybe they do one of those, what do I want to say? I guess they would essentially be like CCTV footage type things. Like when they showed Anakin killing the younglings, except it'll be a duel between Pre-Vizsla and Darth Maul.
Yeah, but you think you'll see Jon Favreau donning the armor, or do you think you'll find someone?
That's what I think he's a bit too chunky for that. I think he's a bit too chunky.
I don't know. They can customize. They can fit it to.
I know they can customize, but I feel like it's a bit more reasonable that they would put somebody in the armor and just have him do the voice still, because they could do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they could totally do that. I mean, yeah, I
Because
mean,
he
look
fought
at what
with
they
his
did with
helmet
James
off.
Earl Jones.
Yeah.
That wasn't James Earl
Oh,
Jones at
that's a
the
good
end.
point. He fought with the helmet off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with that definitely wasn't James Earl Jones. I mean, or they put a lot of fucking what's that powder stuff that women use to on their face. They put a lot of that shit on them.
Put a bunch of foundation on him.
Yeah, there we go. They put some foundation. They're like, throw some foundation on there, James. We're fine. Perfect shoot. We
Because
can't have.
I
So
feel
so
like,
we're officially in the speculation phase of the stream, right?
yeah, we
Yeah.
gave our
Hey, okay.
scenes. We
So
gave how good we
did
thought
we
the episode was.
did any of us want to answer the question of who we think is going to wield the dark saber between Boba, Bo-Katan, or the Mandalorian?
Oh
Ooh,
God, I'd have to say because I'm totally
2 out of 3.
biased in this. I'd have to say I'm totally biased because I love Boba Fett so much that I'm gonna say it's gonna be Boba Fett. I know realistically more than likely not because they're giving him his own miniseries, but no, I'm going with Boba Fett. He's gonna rule over the Mandalorians
Just like he
and
did in the comics.
just like he did in the comic books. I definitely give it to Boba Fett.
Okay, so now you want to hear a way better theory than that crap theory that you just got from the general?
Yeah.
Boba Fett is never going to wield the dark saber because he's never going to be a part of the story, and we've already seen all we're going to see of him because he's an old shriveled man. Now, I say 2 out of 3 because the question was who's going to wield the dark saber, and I feel like both of them could wield the dark saber, and the Mandalorian, Mr. Pascal, is gonna go all Jon Snow on the motherfucker and be like, "Oh yeah, I have the dark saber and I could wield it, but I said that I was gonna give it to this chick, so I'm gonna give it to her."
Uh, I first off, I totally reject your hypothesis with Boba Fett. Um,
What?
because
How
he's
can
a
you
badass.
reject the facts that I just spit? He's an old shriveled man. That was a fact. You've seen it.
He's not an old shriveled man. Did you see his frame? He's an old,
No.
chiseled man.
He is surviving off the land in a fucking desert right now.
Badass.
Yeah, that doesn't turn a person into Jack LaLanne.
All right. Well, we'll see because eventually, inevitably, he's going to meet up with them. I mean, they've
Now,
already said it's going to happen.
if
They've
the
all but confirmed.
question was more broad, as in who's going to end up with the dark saber, I'm not sure that anybody on Mandalore is going to end up with the dark saber, and I feel that it's more likely that Ahsoka is going to end up with the dark saber.
No,
I
she
mean,
knows its purpose and what it is, and it belongs to the Mandalorians.
yeah, Ahsoka has always been established as the type of character who will, like, that's their birthright kind of a deal. And if you remember from Clone Wars and Rebels, she knows the whole history behind that blade. So I feel like she would end up giving it, if anything, especially
To
that
who?
it's
Boba
hinted
Fett?
towards.
Yeah.
No, to Bo-Katan, because
By
it's
the way,
What if
really
she's dead?
what?
by the way,
I
is it
said,
just
what if she is dead?
Then she'll probably give it to the next person in line in that group or someone that she trusts. I don't think she'd give it to anybody else, but I don't think she'd keep it either because,
I don't know,
that's
man.
not how they. That's
by the
not
way,
how they
did
work.
anyone
Jedi
else
relic.
get the does anyone else get the feeling that fucking Rebels never happened with this series?
No, not really, because
Well, how the
I
hell did
mean,
the Empire get it? Because I thought the Mandalorians had it at the end of Rebels.
Sabine
Um,
had it, but they're
Yeah.
hinting
Sabine
that
had it at the end of Rebels on Mandalore, and we have no idea how Moff Gideon ended up with it. I
I could I
assume
could
he went on some fool's errand to
I
Mandalore.
could tell you how he got it because judging by how old he is, he probably was there during the Clone Wars, and he was there for the Siege of Mandalore, and he has it.
I'm going
Oh,
to
you
go
think
a
he was just
darker.
stationed there?
Yeah,
I'm
and he
going to
has
go a
it.
darker route, knowing how good of a tactician Moff Gideon is. I'm going to say in the chaos, right? Because at the end of Rebels, most people won't remember. I do because I recently watched it again. At the end of Rebels, Mandalore
Chill.
was just starting to be stabilized with Sabine as the lead. I'm guessing that when she went back and was going to get all of her people together and stuff and rally them together and finally unite Mandalore, I'm going to say that he did some shady shit and killed her and took the dark saber, because the only way you can claim the dark saber is one-on-one combat, and Sabine never ran from a challenge. I'm going to say that Gideon challenged her and won. And by Mandalore law, if you battle a Mandalore and you beat them, you get to keep one of their possessions. That was established in like Clone Wars and stuff. Remember when they were battling each other? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, if you won, you get to keep whatever weapon or whatever you wanted. And I'm gonna guess that he beat Sabine, and if he didn't kill her, he at least beat her in combat. And the weapon he chose was the dark saber, or he just outright
Interesting.
killed, or he just outright killed her. But he strikes me as the kind of guy who not only would make it to Mandalore but survive or be stationed there, and then in the chaos be like, hey, this dark saber thing gives you power over the Mandalorians, because whoever has that blade is the person who rules, right? They
Yes,
established that.
one blade to rule them all.
Yeah, so I think that he knew that and he challenged her, or he could have just backstabbed her. But I'm gonna just say, based on his character, he challenged her, he beat her, and he took the saber. And
You cannot say that a black man beat a white woman. What are you doing?
he beat her like Chris Brown.
Oh my God.
Oh, getting demonetized. Wait, I'm not monetized. I'll be demonetized as soon as I get monetized. Like,
You're
first
getting
episode, I'll be
No,
like,
canceled
you
for the
just won't be
20th
approved, dude.
time.
Yeah.
I'll be like, first episode, I'll be like, hey guys, I'm monetized. We'll say some stupid shit. They'll be like, and I'm just coming to all of my subscribers to tell you how much bullshit this is. Fuck YouTube. I just got demonetized for no reason, even though I just said for the 5th time I was going to kill Brie Larson. Now it actually matters. You can't be saying shit like that when you got the sponsors. But anyways, I think that it would be, um, cool to have a flashback to show us. But they did hint that Sabine sometime. They didn't say this season, so everybody don't get all like, "Oh, Zod said this season Sabine's gonna show up." No,
If you say she's dead, Ezra has to be fucking dead. I hate that fucking asshole. But
no,
Thrawn's alive because
Ezra's alive.
Thrawn is too badass to die.
They've said
Mm.
Ezra's alive. They've confirmed that.
They're
Boo.
both alive. They're
Boo.
both
Yeah.
alive, man.
Boo, I want Thrawn to strangle him to death.
You
Anyways,
might still have that chance, but that's probably a
but
fan
yeah,
film.
First scene he comes back, you see him, and then he strangles him to death.
no, I
What
liked
would be
Ezra towards the end of the season.
bring them both
Towards the
back
end
and
of the
then he
series.
strangle him with one of those fucking squid space tentacles. Yeah, you tried to kill me with these fuckers. You're going down.
But anyways, back to the original theory. I would like to see that. So this is the one everyone's been talking about. Ahsoka, do you think we'll see her in the next episode, or are they gonna cock tease us more? because
Yeah, I
Yes,
think they
we're
want to
going
man, they're
to
really
see her.
holding the.
Yeah, we're going to see her in the next episode for a solid, I don't know, 5 to 15 seconds.
They're going to keep tickling our balls with Boba Fett, though. And it's pissing me off.
It's not happening, guy.
But no, so my question is, we know it's confirmed. We know who's playing her. We know she's going to be in the series. Let's spitball a thing that I've been meaning to, which you already brought up, PB. How much of a part do you think she'll play in this story? Because she's a Jedi. The whole mission is to get the child to the Jedi. I feel like she's going to be a pretty big key part of this show.
I think she's going to be a key to keep the child away from the Jedi, because if Bo-Katan thinks that she's still with the Jedi, all of us know that she ain't been with the Jedi for going on like what, a decade?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
even
not a
when she
decade,
goes,
like
several
20
decades.
years, 30 years?
okay, even if you don't like Rebels, the one thing that Rebels established very clearly when she came on, I think it was season 4, when she came,
Dude,
or
she
no,
says it
was 2.
outright.
She says she does not, she was not a part of the Jedi Order. I mean, at the end of Clone
No,
Wars,
she says,
she pretty
I
much said
am
that.
no Jedi.
Yeah. Hey,
But
hey.
I mean, in Rebels, she hints to, because Ezra asks her in one scene, he's like, "Hey, like if you're alive, there's got to be other Jedis, right?" So he's like, "Maybe we should go and find the other Jedis." And she is like, "The Jedi Order, as everyone knows it, is dead."
She's going to
like,
take. Yeah,
just
she's going to
outright,
take
like
the
the
child.
Jedi are gone.
She's going to take the child and train him because she's got to keep him away from the other Jedi and his emo nephew.
But yeah, I mean, she's pretty much done with them. Theo Moss says she said not yet. Not yet. But she said not yet.
I think he meant
in.
Not yet in the end of Clone Wars, but she didn't seem like she wanted to be in Rebels. Yeah. Thank you, Theo. In Rebels, she was very much like, she was kind of like what Qui-Gon, remember in episode 1, Qui-Gon Jinn was like pretty much fuck the Jedi, because he was like, he did not agree with anything that they were doing.
I mean, I feel like Qui-Gon Jinn was like, fuck the Jedi Council.
Yeah, they're full of a bunch of pricks on the Jedi Council.
Right.
Yeah,
he wasn't like, fuck the Jedi. Fuck the Jedi Council.
Yeah. There's a couple of members on the council that wanted him on there because of his views. But you know, I believe he
he was like one of those
because he had
like,
his views, and we all know Qui-Gon got his views from Count Dooku, and Count Dooku really hated how the Jedi just became servants to the Republic and did the Republic's bidding instead of being peaceful protectors of the peace. And
I know Count Dooku is an interesting character within himself, because even though he's dark side, you could really argue that he's not dark side just ahead of the curve. Like, he knew where everything was going, and he more aligned himself with the person he assumed was going to win, which he was right. The person he backed himself did win.
He's not full. He's not full Sith Count Dooku either. Anakin's eyes went yellow. Palpatine's eyes are yellow. His eyes are blue because I still think he has the balance in between the light and the dark.
Yeah, I just think he saw the destruction, and Theo Moss put it great again. He said he thought they were misguided, not wrong. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say tomato, I say potato.
And he said Dooku was dark side, but not evil. And that's
Kylo
good.
Ren, and the reason why he didn't have yellow eyes because he was just an emo teen. Okay, fucking.
Kylo Ren was Jedi, dark side emo. He was like one of those annoying fucking screamo bands. Oh god. Anyways, but yeah, This feels great talking Star Wars and us talking like good Star Wars and kicking theories. If anything, to kind of start to wrap things up, I would say the one thing this show has established, I think everyone on the panel can agree, and I think even now, some particular RK Outposts and all of them, they have to agree. This is the best Star Wars. This show is Star Wars. There's no debate in my mind about it. This is what Star Wars is, what it should have been with Disney. I think this is the best Star Wars we will get for a long time. And we should enjoy it. I mean, anyone on the
Agreed.
panel here disagreeing with me?
I don't know what other Star Wars are they even making. The only thing, I mean, what else are they coming out with? This mystery movie in 2020 Corona?
Yeah,
They're coming out with Obi-Wan
the,
and Boba Fett. The series has been
yeah, and the next Star Wars game I'm excited for is the possible sequel to Fallen Order, because that game was fun, and the Battlefront games suck dick.
Oh, the Battlefront games is a discussion for another day. I don't want to start to get into that, because that's going to go down a long.
No, I'm saying strongest one. Jedi Fallen Order for the games, strongest one right now for their like regular, like, what do you want, movie or show content in Mandalorian?
Oh, without a doubt. I would go as far as saying this show is one of the strongest shows out there right now across platforms. Like, if you were to take let's say, because if I say like shows were kind of broad, I would say strongest sci-fi type of show that's out there, because if you look at Netflix, look at Hulu, they don't have anything like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I'd say this was one of the best.
No, but if you ask the Norwegians, they'll tell you that Star Wars ain't sci-fi. It's only fantasy.
Whatever. I mean,
it's a space.
Say this is the best fantasy across platforms.
George Lucas said his movies were space opera, the original ones, and Mandalorian's a space western.
Yep.
I mean, even if we go western, anything like that, I would say this is one of the better shows out there across most of the platforms aren't providing.
It's been science fiction ever since episode 1, because they run a frickin' blood test, man.
But I mean, let's go to comparisons here and look at other sci-fi shows. What does CBS have? Fucking STD. I would say that
and Picard.
And I would say this is more space, more science fiction, better writing than both of those shows. Best episodes put together.
Because it's written and overseen by someone that actually likes what they're doing and has grown up and enjoyed it. You know?
Yeah,
someone an actual fucking fan, not someone that plays the card of being a fan, or a guy who's kind of a fan, but he just likes nostalgia.
Yeah, like we can sit here and say so many scenes and so many things, whether you go season 1 or season 2, where this show shows the love and care that they have for this series and for Star Wars in general. And it never feels, and I want to get your guys' opinions, it never feels like they're trying to pander to fans, as the critics call it, or give us member berries. They throw them in there, but it doesn't feel like they overload this with nostalgia. They're just good writers. They write good story that's engaging.
Well, I mean, they have me asking for a lot more than what they could ever give me.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to keep this show running for so long too, because they know how to use the lore and tell their own story and get us intrigued and like, what else are they going to show the next episode? How are they going to connect this to this to this?
Just never make eye contact with the sequel trilogy, and this
Yeah.
show will be everybody will be happy with this show constantly.
Yeah, don't Game of Thrones it
Keep
at the
keep up keep keep up
end.
keep up with the remnant of the empire.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got one gripe for the season so far, just one. We
Ooh.
have exactly 0 minutes and 0 seconds of Cara Dune. What the
Oh
hell?
yeah.
And you know
But it is,
she's gonna show up sometime
yeah,
later.
they
Well, I
showed
know
She's
her
she's
not
going to
gonna
show
show
up
up
at
like
some time, but how is she not there already? Like you wait a whole episode and a quarter on a frog lady?
yeah, I
she's
know
not gonna
you'd
like
rather
just
see
show up
Gina
like, hey.
Carano in there me too.
Everybody would.
Than
The
a
thing is
frog
though,
lady,
she's not
but
gonna like show up
And
like,
it's
oh,
not
I need
rather,
someone.
it's
Mm.
sorry, go ahead.
She's not gonna show up like, oh, I'm looking for someone. Hey, let's do this. No, she's gonna show up again like he's somewhere, he's in a pinch, and then someone starts shooting, and then you're like, oh, hey, it's you. And then go start doing it. That's how I believe it's going to happen when she gets introduced in this season.
But I mean,
Fair
here's
enough.
the thing though. We can theorize and there's so much to look forward to. And I really enjoy this week to week. And I'm thinking for everyone watching and everyone who will watch, I think these Fridays might be for us to talk about The Mandalorian because Mando Monday has a nice ring to it, but I don't like waiting that long because then people have already watched other people and the videos are already out there and like, fuck. I mean, I might even do it the night it premieres, but I hate waiting because they're never consistent when the episode drops because fucking Disney. You fucking pricks.
I don't want to do it when it drops either because then you have to wait up all night waiting for it. When then you could
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
wait for it to drop,
No.
have a whole day to watch it, and then talk about it at the end of the day.
yeah, we have enough time. So people who are interested, I'm probably gonna switch our Fridays just for this run of the Mandalorian to having it Mando Friday, and we'll just give people time to watch the episode, because you got all Thursday night and Friday, everyone will have watched it during the day, and then we can come back and chat about it at night because the only thing people are booting up their Disney subscription for on that Friday morning or afternoon is to watch The Mandalorian, and 12 is perfect because everybody has watched it and we're not spoiling it, and there's been 100 reviews. So, welcome. We have a new person here who says, I was unhappy with the cast of Katee as Bo-Katan. She looks too much like TCW version. And this is post Return of the Jedi, meaning Ian McGregor turned into Alec Guinness, and she's still so young. I know the age, but look, Katee Sackhoff in real life, people, is gotta be in her 40s right now, at least, I would say, because she did Battlestar Galactica in her 30s.
She did Battlestar Galactica, and then she did The Flash. I don't know how many episodes of The Flash she was in, but she was in multiple seasons playing the same character.
Yeah, so she's not. They just made her look a little bit younger, and I don't. For the life of me, we've been getting pieces of the timeline. Like, I understand the argument, but I still say she was a great cast because of how she fits the character. The
I
personality.
mean, we don't know how Mandalorians are supposed to age.
Yeah, they seem to age a lot slower. Not to mention, too, I like the Clone War version. I would have to disagree with you. I like the Clone War version. I love the Clone Wars. While everyone here on the channel, or you guys know, we love the Clone Wars here. So I don't mind the Clone Wars look. I think, too, it was the most identifiable for them to go with so that people were like, who the fuck is this? I mean, as soon as you see the blue armor and the design, you go, "Oh, yep, that's Bo-Katan." Like everyone knew right
you know what's
away.
really annoying is that does not tell you what her age would be around. So that's really fucking hard to place that anywhere.
But yeah, I do appreciate the comments. Look, at least look, I have to say, and I'm sure PB would agree with me, your guys' complaints are actually pretty valid because they are legitimate concerns, not like some people we've seen when we've seen their reviews. Like you guys have some real deal good comments, and I appreciate it. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. Do you, PB? I think it is a good point. But they haven't
No,
provided
but I
us
would
with
love. I
anything with
mean,
the
yeah,
timeline.
okay. So, let's say the look is a little off, but how did she do playing the character as far as her charisma in the role? I thought she
Which
did
I would.
excellent.
Oh yeah. I mean, here's the thing I go by. Let's take the lookout, okay? Everybody take the lookout and what your personal bias is towards the Clone Wars or whatever, right? Just frame it as does she fit that role? When you were watching her, did you get the same kind of character traits that the character was established having? And yes, 100%. She not only personified what the character was established like in the Clone Wars, but I think she added her own personality to the role. She gave a badass. I felt like, she owned that character. Like out of all of those Mandalorians that they presented, or all the other ones in season one, for me, her and the Forge Master stick out as the only two really standout Mandalorians that I could pick out in the crowd. And that was mainly
Oh,
because
for
when the
sure. Well, I
Forge.
mean, yeah, the Forge one looks awesome.
Yeah, and when she fucking beat all of those stormtroopers, you were like, "Oh yeah, she just doesn't forge armor, apparently."
Damn right, she took lessons in Asgard on how to throw hammers.
So yeah, there was, it was, I think that if you take the age out and if you take out how your personal feelings are with the look, I think as far as the character, she fit the role of the character, which makes her a good casting choice because she's got that personality and she's established that personality in her acting career. Which, so when you see her as this character, you go, "Oh yeah, yeah, she definitely she's got the red hair, she's got the ass kicking down. I buy her kicking someone's ass because that's pretty important."
I
I'm gonna
mean,
get off
I
track.
assume she can beat the hell out of humans if she can beat the hell out of killer robots.
Oh yeah, and look, I saw. Okay, I'll give you a comparison. I was watching Freaky. If you guys haven't seen it, shameless plug. You people who made this movie need to give me some money for this. But if you haven't seen it, go see it with Vince Vaughn. It's fucking hilarious and scary all at the same time. Brilliant movie. Anyways, there was a preview in this movie for this new movie coming out called 355. It looks like the biggest SJW fucking pandering to women fest I've ever fucking seen in my life. It's like 4 diverse women are all in the
Wait,
CIA and they're taking out all these big Russians
so
by themselves single-handedly.
it's the sequel to Charlie's Angels and what was that other fucking movie that you seen last year?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It pissed me off. I've been trying to forget about it.
Where they're going to school. It's just female super bad.
Yep. Oh yeah, Book Smart. Oh God.
Book smart. So this
Me
is
and
just
LB for
this is
that.
just those two movies put together.
Oh, except for Book Smart is kind of a comedy, but yeah, same premise. It was like a whole female squad, and they're like, "We got to band together," and they're playing this music. They have the balls to play Jay-Z's "We Are," where he's like, And I was like, oh, no, don't do this. Not my boy Jay-Z, man. He's like New York City. That's New York, baby. And I can't believe they use
Harlem
his song. Oh God.
or
But anyways,
Brooklyn? I don't fucking
Brooklyn.
remember.
But anyways, so I'm watching
It's
this
all the
trailer.
same to me. I'm from Wisconsin.
So I'm watching this trailer and I'm looking and I'm getting more agitated. And like, of course, the unicorn's beside me and she goes, why are you so, she goes, that looks cool. And I go, yeah, that's the point. I go, tell me in this. I was like, yeah, she made my point for me. I go, tell me in this, were you realistically seeing these 100 and I'm gonna say $120 at most females beating? Okay, and they didn't give them a realistic thing like, oh, they're in the army or something like that. These are a fucking special forces unit of all females from different agencies, and they're taking out these guys that are easily 300 pounds. They look 300 pounds, and they don't even like shoot them. They have
Wait,
guns.
so
They
these guys are
purposely,
like all Brock Lesnar sized?
just about, right? And this lady drops her 9mm to this big dude and stabs him repeatedly with a knife. And I'm like, bullshit. Even if a guy is in that scenario, if you have an option, and this goes to military tactics, because I was in the fucking service, if you are against armed opponents who have fucking SMGs, you are not going to drop your gun to do some fancy shit with a knife and then grab someone else's gun and shoot up the room. That, first off, whether you have a male or female in that, that's totally unrealistic. But secondly, the fact that you do it with about 125-pound female and she takes out this big fucking Russian guy, and then she takes out a trained American and he's all like, oh, we've got a squad waiting for you guys. And she goes, I only counted 6 people, so your numbers don't match. I'm like, oh, she's so sassy. It was so ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, that movie's gonna flop. Like, it was just and now why I brought this whole long point up to the
Oh my
Mandalorian,
god.
when her character is introduced in the Mandalorian, does she drop her gun to go toe to toe with these guys? No, she fucking ruthlessly shoots a guy who's down. Like, she double taps on, she shoots him, and then they pass by him, and she points towards the ground and shoots him again. I was like, that's realistic. If you have a gun, you're not gonna fucking drop it to just fucking stab people. The only time she used her blade was when the dude was coming around the corner and they wanted to be stealthy. That makes sense. And she grabbed them and stabbed them about 50 fucking times. And then like,
I thought you didn't like the final fight to Captain Marvel.
Oh God. Don't even get me started on that fucking waste of time. Yeah, you know what? While we're on that subject, Jude Law fucking doesn't win their training bout, and then they have a fight. And he's like, let's fight hand to hand. And she just fucking blasts him. And I go, yep, that fits her character. Arrogant, cocky, hasn't changed throughout this whole movie. Stayed the fucking same. Good job, Brie Larson.
Right.
Way to not raise the bar.
Are you gonna wrap this up at it soon, or?
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. He went on such a fucking side point. Every time he mentions he was in the military, I wonder how we're still a free country.
Hey, because I know not to drop my fucking gun in a gunfight.
Fair enough. The Mandalorian's awesome. Everybody needs to watch it. They need more Cara Dune. It's coming shortly.
Yes, and now, PB, what do you got coming out?
Who knows, man? Something. Probably a Zack Snyder video.
Yeah, you know, because the Snyder Cut's going to be so great. Yeah, the Snyder Cut.
214.
214! 214! Jesus Christ. I hear 214 again, I'm gonna fucking pull a Mandalorian and just fucking kill all these fucking ignorant people. I get disclaimer, I guess.
Fat.
Mr. Fett, what do you got coming out on your channel? Any raging against video games or something? Because those are always fun.
I got streams, but not a lot of people are there to clip the parts where I do rage, and I'm too lazy to go back. But I got some stupid shit coming up. I don't know. You can decide if it's funny or not when it comes out. I'm just putting it out there. Just you can use it for whatever you want. Like you could take the video, you could set it to a friend you really hate. I don't care.
It's a Mitt Romney video.
Well, that's what PB made it. At least the thumbnail. He doesn't even know what's in it. I did make it though, and record it when I did record it when I was tired, so it could be a part of the joke.
Oh, before we go, we have a good question here. I would like to answer. You want to read that, Mr. PB?
Hold on, I can't see my screen. I wasn't looking at it. I don't know how to say the second word, so I'm just gonna say Oppo says, what do you think of how God, I don't know how to say that fucking word either.
Quarian?
Quarian? Okay. Threw Baby Yoda into the sea creature mid-sentence. Were you surprised? Well, we talked about that earlier in the stream, and yeah, I was surprised as hell.
Yeah, I think that was the only surprising part of
Nope,
the ambush.
short
if you
answer.
heard my rant. But yeah,
Short answer.
go back there. You can hear my rant on that whole scene. But yeah, we all agreed that was surprising because he just threw that fucking thing right in there and whoop, swallowed him up, and we were like, "Fuck, Baby Yoda's dead." So yeah, yeah, it was surprising for everybody here on the panel. And
okay, General Zod, what do you got coming out?
Tomorrow we're gonna be doing our thing, but we're not talking politics. Surprise, PB. We're gonna talk
What?
WWE.
Oh.
My dad's in an article that was just written about the sex scandal in the WWE with them molesting young kids. So we're going to break that down and how Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon knowingly let this go on, and because it was the higher ups, they did nothing about it. So it's going to be a bit of a heavier stream, but if you guys want to know the dark insights to this, check out tomorrow's live stream. And I'm also going to be releasing some more Wild Rift gameplay. My first one's going to be Master Yu, and I'm going to show you why he's if you're a new player, he's one of the best free-to-play characters to start and kind of build up your currency and buy the other good characters. Currency is free. You just have to win. But I'm going to show you guys how to win because that game's very tricky. It's one of the most intricate games. And I think it's because it came from the PC. You don't have hotkeys or anything. So it's very condensed controls. So chaining your combos and everything is harder to do. And I'm going to show you guys how to do all that shit. Also, I have a video coming out on Freaky, and I'm going to break down why Vince Vaughn is in his best comedic form and his best at being a killer. So if you're confused, watch my review. Anyways, thank you everybody for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I want to get to 500 by December 30th. I'm not going to say, I'm really towing the line there. Maybe the 29th. I want to reach 500 before January. So,
and I want to reach 200 before the end of the year this time.
So, yeah, everybody, definitely hit that subscribe button. Share on Twitter, share on Facebook, share on Instagram,
share on Parler.
Yeah, all those.
Share on anything. If it's a social media thing, no matter how big or small, or how much of a safe space it is, share it.
Yes, share and get us out there and get a general to 500 because the more that I can reach people, the more I can get subscribers, maybe get fucking monetized, and then I could just do this for you guys all day and retire with the unicorn and buy my own island with a tiger. Anyways, remember the only rule here in the Phantom Zone: kneel before General Zod. And I
No,
love
my
you.
armor doesn't let me do that.
And I love you, Bo-Katan.